Hello. Yay, at least one person's here. Let me see if I can watch this live so I can get a better idea of what's going on. Bear with me, I haven't streamed in a while. Hello, Goonies fan, how are you? Hey, everybody. Where's the little... Yeah, that would explain a lot. Hang on a second, one of my cats wants to go out. Come on, Soul. Come on, you guys. You guys. God damn it. I've actually been meaning to stream since like about December. I wanted to stream myself reacting to some of my older videos, and I had people make suggestions, and I basically picked the ones that got the most requests. So, and also the reason is that I'm kind of hoping to raise a little bit of money. So, we had like almost enough money to pay the rent this month, and then the car broke down, so now we kind of have to like raise money to replace the money that we spent on the car. So what I've done is I've disabled Super Chat, and I've put a link to my PayPal, because if I did it with Super Chat, I would not get it until next month. So with PayPal, I get it immediately. So purely optional, of course. But yeah, that's partly why I'm streaming. And also, like I said, I wanted to I meant to do this like back in December as a as an anniversary thing, because my channel turned like 12 years old, I think, in December. So hey Dina, I just watched that Hellraiser video you did, and let me say I completely agree with you throughout the whole thing. Cool. Hello. I'm gonna get started in just a minute. I'm just kind of... my cats are being weird and not... they keep acting like they want to go out, and then they keep changing their minds, because, you know, cats. Yeah, I know how that is. Hello. 1 second. Soul, do you want to go out or not? Do you want to come in, Tara? Okay, well. Oh, just like Soul is inside, Tara's outside, and Soul keeps going up to the door like he wants out. And every time I open it, Tara's acting like she wants in, and like they're both doing this thing where they're sitting on either side of the door, and they're just being cats, basically. Mr. X becomes more aggressive if you shoot out his hat. Oh, yeah, I've heard that. Oh God, I'm not even gonna dignify the rest of that with a response. Do I think the NES game? I've never heard of that. Is that something that actually You can stop saying it's been a hard day's night for you, I get it. Yeah, I've heard Judgment actually isn't that bad from at least a few people, so, you know, we'll see how I feel about it when I watch it. I'll try to give it a chance, but I don't know, the trailer didn't really fill me with a lot of hope. Cenobites look cool, I think, if I recall correctly. Oh, that's right, I think I did read about that somewhere. I wonder if there's like I wonder if that's available to like look at somewhere. Probably not. I know you're referencing the Beatles, but you just didn't have to do it 3 times, is what I'm saying. Yeah, I know, no Doug Bradley. At least that Pinhead looks better than the one in Revelations. Yeah, they actually were going to remake Hellraiser, and instead we ended up with Revelation. Let me just do something really quick. I'm gonna get started pretty soon. I'm still kind of getting set up. Okay, so I'm opening up my PayPal page in case anyone donates money. I wanted to acknowledge it. So thank you, Thomas. Okay, so Pinhead wasn't even originally supposed to be a villain per se. He was sort of in the middle. Really Frank was the bad guy in Hellraiser. And in Hellraiser 2 it was that doctor, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Yeah, Clive Barker wrote a script and he really wanted to remake it, and then it didn't happen. Miramax like took the rights away. I don't really have a favorite Beatle. Why do you keep talking about the Beatles? Pinhead is not sympathetic, he's a cosmic force. Yeah, that's a good way to describe him. Alright, Goonies fan, you've had your fun. If you talk about the Beatles one more time, you're getting kicked out. Channard. Yeah, it's not Chinard, but Channard. You were close. Yeah, Julia also. Is Freddy Krueger more evil than Pinhead? I would say so, because I don't know. Freddy's more like a straight up villain, whereas Pinhead is more kind of in the middle, like somebody else said. It's more like a force of nature. I've heard that there were some, I didn't know they were mentioned, but I thought there was something like Cenobites in Ghostbusters. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Midnight Meat Train. I just saw Phalus's video about it. Holy crap, the chats keep coming. I keep trying to get caught up on chats before I get started here, but I might have to just get started anyway. Yeah, there wasn't even really a Pinhead per se in the book. There was a character that had a similar kind of injuries as him, but it was possibly female. People always love to say Pinhead was female in the book, but not really. First of all, it wasn't even really Pinhead exactly. And secondly, they only hinted that it might be female. Thanks, I appreciate it. Well, that too. The Pinhead didn't diddle kids. Yeah, that too. Sorry, I'm not being very specific about which things I'm responding to. Freddy's more brutal and straightforward, as Pinhead is threatening, but he's lets the intimidation and terror sink in. Yeah. Do I think they intentionally gave Jason more screen time during did he have more screen time? I don't think I noticed. It's been a while since I've seen it. I don't know, you could call Pinhead a sadist too. Yeah, well, Pinhead isn't really his real name. It's just what they called him behind the scenes, and it just sort of stuck. How many vlogs of Red Dwarf episode are left? Let's see. I just finished Officer Rimmer, which is going to go up next month. So I think there's 2 more left in season 11, and then there's going to be 6 of season 12, so 8. And then I've got some cat videos to go, and then until season 13 comes out. I kind of thought season 13 might be out by now, but who knows when or if it's going to come out. I think it's still in the planning stages. Yep, you made it, Babble Play. I've never really seen Goonies all the way through. I think, hi Razorvine. Goonies, here's the thing, Goonies came out like shortly after Gremlins, and I think at the time it came out, I thought it was one of those rip-offs of Gremlins, like Ghoulies. And so I never actually saw it, and it turns out that it's nothing like Gremlins, and apparently it's really good from what I've been told. I should really watch it sometime. Book of the film. Oh, for Hellraiser? Definitely the film. I mean, the book was just kind of like a prototype, really. Yeah, that's fair about the imagination, but yeah, I just feel like the film was a lot more fleshed out than the book was. I didn't notice if they focused on... Well, I mean, they sort of like went into Jason's past and stuff, but there's only so much you can do with Freddy in that regard. Oh, hi, Lotus Prince. I think I saw that, Jay. Thank you. Or no, that was somebody else, actually. Oh, yeah, I see it now. Thank you, Jay. And thank you, Cassandra. And, yeah. I thought there was another, but there isn't. I keep getting behind on chat. I have not read the Scarlet Gospels yet. I guess I will. I guess I will at some point. Oh, thanks. Yeah, the cooking videos are kind of fun to make. Oh no. My grandma accidentally rented me Fritz the cat once because it was in... Oh, that should not have been in the kids section. That's just wrong. Oh yeah, Order of the Gash. That's a cool phrase. Yeah, your suffering will be legendary, even in hell. I don't know what the Screw Tape Letters is. Or if that's a joke. No, I'm not really considering seeing the new Pet Sematary. I'm kind of sick of horror remakes as it is, and it just looks like another one to me. Unless, you know, it's like It, where it turns out it's really good and it gets insanely good reviews or something, but I don't really expect that. Yeah, the Oreo truffles are really good, and they're easy to make, so they're very dangerous. Oh yeah, I'm sorry about the pony vlogs. Cool, I'm glad people enjoy the monsters vlogs. They don't get a ton of views, but the people who do watch them like them, so that's cool. Yeah, I'm about to start. Should a cat lover see Pet Sematary? Favorite Stephen King story. I don't know, that might be Misery. Pet Sematary was pretty good, although the book was kind of slow. Okay, I'm gonna get started. So, the Monster Show come out before or after Tales from the Crypt? Maybe after or maybe during, I'm not sure. I know it came out after Tales from the Dark Side. Okay, I'm probably gonna get behind on chat now because I want to get started on this, so... So I guess I don't know if I'm going to turn down the volume and talk over this sometimes, or if I'm just going to pause whenever I want to talk about it, so we'll just see. Let me know if the volume's good on this. Oh, thank you.
What's going on here?
Oops, sorry about my pointer there. Don't be snarky, Star Animation Studio. There's no need for that. No one's forcing you to stick around if you're having a bad time. Okay, a funny thing about this bit with the static. I used to have a hard time, with animating static, and then, I mean, making the static wasn't difficult, but for some reason it didn't want to render properly. It would render in like, in kind of a choppy, like stills, oddly enough, which is funny because I wasn't going for that look, but I guess it does kind of work for this video. So yeah, that was a weird thing about, like, I don't remember what the deal was. This was like in the early days of YouTube, and I think, this was in the early days of YouTube, and I think maybe you had to render your video a specific way to upload it, maybe. I don't remember what it was, but one of your first pieces of content I saw was your podcast interviewing Guy Seehee. Yeah, that was great. Hello. Yeah, so you notice the static is sort of like in stills almost, which, like I said, it actually does kind of work for this, but that wasn't what I intended. It's just like the low quality of the render.
Oh, what's with all the interference? Huh. Oh well.
I'm funny.
Dina here with another guest review for Still Gaming. You know, Halloween is upon us, so I've decided to review what I consider to be one of the scariest games of all time.
I think I was still using Windows Movie Maker at the time. Static reminds me of Poltergeist. That's awesome. Not what I intended, but that's funny.
That's right. Silent Hill. There were some pretty bloody games back in the 16-bit era, but the survival horror genre didn't really start until PlayStation came out and introduced us to Resident Evil, which I had played, and I liked it a lot.
Can't talk about Silent Hill without talking about Resident Evil, or at least I can't.
I mean, it was pretty freaky stuff back then. And then one day a friend of mine loaned me this game that he had gotten, and he claimed that it was like Resident Evil, but way more scary. So naturally, I had to play it. Now, the first thing you're going to notice about Silent Hill is that it has this opening FMV that is very unlike what you would expect for any kind of video game, let alone a horror game. There is no action, no military guys fighting zombies, nothing that really gives you a clue of what the actual game is like, but it does give you a really nice background on the characters and where they fit into the story. It's actually a very sophisticated method of storytelling, and you really have to understand these characters to be able to follow what's going on in this game. So definitely do not skip the opening FMV on this one.
Yeah.
It also doesn't hurt that it's just beautifully done.
I think I made a similar comment when I did the Let's Play of my stream of Silent Hill, where they don't show you any sort of action or anything like that in the opening. It's just a bunch of, just like a vignette of little scenes and stuff and character interactions and stuff like that.
Now the story starts off deceptively simple. You play as Harry Mason, who is just a regular guy who happened to drive through the wrong town at the wrong time. He was in a car accident, and he woke up to find that his daughter was missing. And now he has to trudge through this deserted town in the snow and the fog to find her.
It's not snow, it's ash.
It's not long before it gets dark, and that's when all the weird stuff starts to happen. As far as the battle system goes, it's pretty similar to Resident Evil, where you hold down the shoulder button to get your weapon ready, and then you use the action buttons to shoot or hit, whichever.
This is definitely more of a review than a retrospective type thing. Yeah, it is sort of a preview in a way. Because, like, most games, it is more like a preview. Like, this is what you expect. This is what you're going to see in the game, you know, moving forward. And for Silent Hill, it's like, this is the backstory. I think I was going to say something else. I forgot what it was. Oh, well. Oh, yeah. This is definitely a review because I'm actually talking about gameplay, which I don't really do too much.
Typical, really, but
in the game den.
Simple and effective. The main difference is that you get mostly melee weapons. You get a couple different guns, but sorry, no bazookas or rocket launchers in this game. But enough about Resident Evil for now. Let's talk about what makes this game unique. Hey Harry, is that a lens flare in your pocket or are you just happy to see me?
God.
Yes, you actually get
that was so lame. Well, it was an early video. What do you want? First M-rated game I played. I've been playing video games so long, I don't know what mine would have been.
You get a flashlight in this game, and this was the first game I had ever played where you could only see like a few feet in front of your character. The monsters just kind of quietly creep out from the darkness and into your field of vision. And boy, is it ever disturbing. That alone is almost guaranteed to give you nightmares. Especially if you play it alone and in the dark. Speaking of nightmares, these nurses f***ed me up bad. It's not even really the way they look.
Back when I used to bleep out I used to bleep out swear words. I don't really know why I did it.
It's their body language. It probably has something to do with how humanoid they look and the way they writhe and twitch when you beat them to death with a pipe. I think it was 2 a.m. when I experienced that for the first time. I'm all, okay, enough of this, I'm going to bed. At which point I had a nightmare. Good times, good times.
I think I told that same story when I covered it on the Game Den, but it's true. About how I had a nightmare after I played this game until very late at night. I was in the hospital level, and then I like realized how late it was, and so I turned it off and went to bed, and I had some kind of vague nightmare about the nurses.
I got off track a little bit there.
Oh yeah, censoring, that's what I was talking about. I got off track. Yeah, I think it was sort of it was one of those things that Lee did, so I did it too, and I think he did it because, what's his name? Mark Bussler, Classic Game Room, he did that. So I think he was just sort of a holdover from that. Yes, I am live. Hello.
There, but another cool item you get in the game is an old radio.
Huh. Radio. What's going on with that radio?
Line of the game. Oh, we've moved on to Queen references now.
Basically, the radio only makes noise when monsters are around. And considering that pretty much all of this game takes place either in the dark or in the middle of some thick fog, it's really the only warning you get that they're coming.
I guess my first M-rated game was Mortal Kombat, because that was probably the first game to get that. Or one of the first? I don't know.
Voice acting and dialogue in general could have been better, but I don't really have any serious
It could have been
complaints
better.
about it.
I was so kind to it.
I see everything.
I mean, yeah,
Wow.
It's kind of cheesy and overdone, but
You know something? Tell me.
as I recall, that was pretty much the norm back then.
Yeah, it kind of was, really.
Nothing is to be gained from floundering about at random.
I love that line. I don't know why.
You must follow the path. The path of the hermit concealed by flowers.
What?
I think it's more up there with, like, here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Mortal Kombat was a little too early to have an M rating, so I guess, like, was it Genesis who just kind of, like, did their own rating? Never overdo your cheese.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, really.
Maybe there's something back there.
The borderline sexism in this scene just kills me.
Wait. We don't know what's back there. I'd better check it out first.
I'm a cop. I should go.
Exactly.
No.
Oh, God.
I'm going.
No. Go into the kitchen and make me some pie.
I'll cover you from here.
Boy, do I ever regret making that fucking joke. Like, nobody has a goddamn sense of humor when it comes to that. How can we connect this to circumcision? I'm starting to regret that, too. Yeah, I remember that. Sega having their own ratings board. Yeah, it's probably more along those lines, really. I'm the main protagonist, I'm going. Oh, wow. I thought the joke was funny, but I got a lot of shit for it, because people just can't take a joke when it comes to, like, making fun of sexism.
Careful.
I clearly wasn't
What's she
being...
covering him from? She doesn't know about the monsters and there aren't any people around.
I clearly was joking. I don't know why people got so butthurt over it.
Okay.
Oh well. One thing I will say about the dialogue is that at least it's kind of quiet and eerie, even if it is a bit cheesy at times. I would have preferred that over loud overacting.
Like some other world? It's like some kind of bad dream.
It could have been a lot worse. At least for the most part, it's not laughably bad.
Stop it! Don't
Open that door!
What? What is this?
What is it?
I know.
Blood. What is it?
What is this all about? I can't figure it out at all. I don't know what's going on.
Jill, here's a lockpick. It might be handy if you, the master of unlocking, take it with you.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. Anyway, the
Yeah, pretty much.
sounds aren't great either, but they're generally adequate. You've probably noticed by now that the radio sounds like a school bell. But considering that it goes off whenever monsters are near and the monsters are creepy, the sound kind of becomes creepy by association. When you hear it, it kind of makes your blood run cold a little. The moaning of the nurses starts to sound a little bit silly after a while, though. Not to mention pornorific. As for the background music, it's really more like background noise. But I don't mean that in a bad way.
God, I think Silent Hill came out in 1999.
I mean, this isn't the kind of music
I don't
that you're
always
gonna be
remember
humming
things like
later.
that. I don't always remember things like that off the top of my head, but I want to say it was 1999. Someone will, or is it... Someone will, tell me if I'm wrong. Yeah, to be fair though, in Chris's version of the game, it's kind of reversed because, well, okay, like, what's her name isn't protective of Chris exactly, but she does come and help him every time he's in trouble. So that was one thing about Resident Evil that was kind of interesting, I thought.
Without realizing it, but it really sets the mood well.
I thought this bit was really cool, to be honest.
Now, the graphics are kind of dated by today's standards, but the atmosphere is very effective. In fact, I actually think that the first Silent Hill game has the best atmosphere out of all four. This one somehow manages to...
I feel like Barry just doesn't even exist in Chris's game. It's kind of weird. Unless there's some reference to him that I'm not remembering. Maybe he shows up at in the helicopter at the end if you save everybody. I don't remember.
to utilize the darkness and the flashlight effect really well.
Where am I?
Awesome.
Have I been here before?
The darkness is just so unnerving, and the snow and the fog kind of adds to this general feeling of loneliness and isolation.
I don't remember this being here before.
Either way, you never know what's coming. nothing is scarier than knowing there's something there, but not knowing what it is or when it's coming.
I've said it before, but I really think this game has the best atmosphere out of all of them. I don't know what it is exactly that this one does better than the others. And another thing I've said before is that it might actually be that it might be the graphics. Like, it has this kind of has a kind of grittiness to it that more polished graphics wouldn't necessarily have. Yeah, that was really loud. I don't know why that was so loud in the video. Last game that Silent Hill came out, the last completed game was Downpour. The last demo, I guess, was Silent Hills. And yes, Konami has abandoned the series. They've pretty much said they have. Except that they made a pachinko machine, but they haven't done anything since then. I honestly hope they have, considering they brought back Metal Gear. They brought back Metal Gear for some really crappy online game. And it's like, we don't need that for Silent Hill. Yeah, the last Silent Hill game was pachinko. Book of Memories may have actually come out after Downpour. I forget what order they came out. They both came out in the same month, because Konami is stupid. Because Konami is Konami, and Konami is the worst. Oh, that's interesting, that you played the first one after the others and you agree with me. 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre feel to it. Yeah, Rebecca. I couldn't remember her name earlier. I've never heard of those rumors.
There is a lot of
hashtag
just
Fuckonami.
Random weirdness in this game, and some of it
yeah,
is there
I
just
forget
to
about
kind
it too.
of scare you and make you feel uneasy.
That'd be neat.
But some of it is symbolic, and you really have to pay attention to everything you see in this game, no matter how odd or out of place it looks.
Didn't you just say you were watching Friends? Well, you may have changed what you were watching.
The overall tone of this game is very dark and morose, and even depressing once you realize what exactly is going on here.
Daddy? Help me. Daddy? Where are you?
Cheryl!
I did think this bit was genuinely sad. That bit where he, like, slowly hangs up the phone.
You know, the story is told in just such an intelligent and sophisticated way, it's almost too good to be a video game. You know, I bet this would make...
I kind of regret saying that. I shouldn't have mocked video games that way. I don't think I intended it like that, but yeah.
Good move. Never mind.
Oh, let me back that up a tiny bit. I actually made it.
It's almost too good to be a video game. You know, I bet this would make a good move. Never mind.
This was back when I was afraid to talk about the Silent Hill movie because everybody loved it and nobody wanted to hear anything bad about it. That had kind of lightened. That had kind of lightened up by the time I actually talked about the movie. Yeah, I agree with that about the voice acting. It does kind of work in a weird way. Some of it more than others. Yeah, it's funny how, like, everybody used to defend the Silent Hill movie, and then that just sort of died out. I think at some point people sort of, like, took a step back and went, okay, yeah, maybe this isn't as good as we thought it was. I think Chris Stuckman calls that phantom menacing, when a movie comes out and everybody loves it, and then after a while everybody hates it. Thank you.
But in all seriousness, if you like horror games, and you're interested in anything that's a little bit unique, you absolutely owe it to yourself to check this one out.
I can imagine.
If you haven't already. I think it's a little bit rarer and it's a little expensive on eBay. I know I have a bad habit of recommending games that are rare and expensive, and I apologize for that. But this is one of those cases where it would be totally worth it. Seriously, you don't want to miss out on this one. It's a classic. And now for a quick recap of that comparison I was doing earlier. Resident Evil is all about action, gore, and cheap scares.
I think I did this part because I was worried people would think I was hating on Resident Evil too much. So I like had this little bit where I'm like, oh no, I like Resident Evil. Resident Evil's fine.
Psychological horror, like a good horror novel, and the story is told just as well.
What happened in this town?
It was Resident Evil that popularized the survival horror genre, but it was Silent Hill that really took it and ran with it. Some of the inspiration for the Silent Hill series comes from a movie called Jacob's Ladder, and if you're a Silent Hill fan, you should totally check it out. I also think there's a little bit of Stephen King influence, but I'll get to that some other time. Well, that about wraps up my Silent Hill review. Have a fun Halloween, guys, and take it easy on the candy. See you next time.
I show Silent Hill 2 at the end there because I thought I was just gonna cover all of these on Still Gaming. I didn't know at the time I was gonna do my— oh, I forgot about this gag. Better turn that down before I get a copyright strike. I already got one of those. Ah. Did you know Pyramid Head was a playable guest character in the new Bomberman game? I don't recall if I knew that or not. I might have. Awesome. I love that the first game had outtakes at the end. I wish the others had done something like that. That was fun. Japanese only horror game called Kuon. Wasn't that a movie, or I'm thinking of something else? I have not played Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't think it's really my kind of game. I like watching Markiplier play it, but here we go, Silent Hill 2. Oh, maybe that, yeah, that must be what I was thinking of. The Grudge. Oh yeah, Pixar movies have good outtakes. Yeah, I was.
Hey, this is Dina. Welcome to the den. Well, Halloween is upon us once again. You may remember that it was almost exactly a year ago that I did a special Halloween episode of Still Gaming where I covered Silent Hill. And now it's a year later, and I'm just as obsessed with Silent Hill as I ever was, so I figured why not make it a tradition. In the first Silent Hill...
I shouldn't point this out, but I hate that fading to black after every segment that I used to do. I don't know why I used to do it. I guess I thought it looked cinematic or something, but one day Lee pointed that out to me and he's like, don't do that. No one else on the internet does that. And I just kind of like, and at the time I liked doing it, but now I just look back and I'm like, I don't like that I used to do that. Yeah. Pyramid Head would cameo in multiple E-rated games now. Yeah, I mean, it's not really that surprising. Pinhead sort of became like a silly little mascot, which I'm not a fan of that, but... Oh. Oh, yeah, my car broke down. It's just, oh, it has a lot of stuff wrong with it because it's a really old car. It's like my mom's old car. It's like a 1990-something Mercury Tracer. It's like this little station wagon, but anyway, oh, thank you for liking my old videos. Yeah, anyway, it costs like $300 to get it fixed to the point where it would run. It actually has a lot more wrong with it, but that was what we had to do for the time being, and so I kind of want to try to raise that money back so that we can pay the rent this month. Yeah, that's what I don't like about Pyramid Head being made into like a mascot. It really like takes away from the symbolism that he had. See jump scares taken to the next level, go to Dave & Buster's and check out a game called Dark Escape. That's okay. I'm not really a fan of jump scares. That's the main reason I'm not interested in playing Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh yeah, I heard about that movie. I think a Five Nights at Freddy's movie could work if it's like the backstory. If it's like, if it's like plays out like one of the games would, that wouldn't be very good. But the game does have kind of an interesting backstory. Okay, back to the video.
You played as Harry Mason, who was in a car accident on his way through the town of Silent
You play
Hill.
as Harry Mason, who is in a
He
car
awoke to find
accident.
His daughter was missing, and you
I've just
spend
said
the
that
rest
so
of the
many
game trying
times
to
now.
find her. This is the sort of thing that, to me, really sets Silent Hill apart from other survival.
That's so fun. Wow, that's funny that you remembered that. Even I forgot that I said that at the end of the video. Jim Henson's company's doing the animatronics. Okay, that's pretty cool.
Horror games. It's not about any conspiracies involving evil corporations. Well, okay, there is a cult involved, and they want to destroy the world and rebuild it into a paradise.
Of course.
But to me, that always felt...
Ah, Nostalgia Critic reference. Well, sort of a Nostalgia Critic reference. I was sort of doing my own version on the whole M. Bison saying, of course. So anytime I talked about the cult, like, destroying the world or whatever, I'd put in Walter Sullivan saying, of course. I don't know how many people picked up on that, but that's what that was, if anyone wondered. I have not seen Us yet. I haven't even seen his other movie. I want to, though. Get Out. Yeah, I haven't seen Get Out yet. Thank you for the donation, Paul Wise. Was the cult mentioned in Silent Hill 2? They might have been slightly referenced. I know, like, James, you know, in the ending where he brings Mary back to life, he does get some of the items from the cult, but
like more of a backstory than anything else. For the most part, it's just a very personal story about this man and the hell he's willing to put himself through to get his missing daughter back.
oh, cool.
Help me. Daddy.
See, I show that clip whenever I can, because I think it's actually pretty effective.
It's become a staple of the Silent Hill series that the main character is more or less an everyday Joe thrown into this hellish situation. What this does is it draws you in and makes it feel more real. Having characters who...
That's right, this was the first game I ever talked about on the Game Den. I mean, the first Silent Hill game I ever talked about on the Game Den, so I do sort of an overview of the whole series.
At least on the surface...
Does a donation count accrue in real time, or do you need to man? Oh, you know, you're right. I forgot that I even had that up there. Thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot that I had a total up there that I haven't been updating. Hang on, I will do that really quick. Thank you for pointing that out. I probably shouldn't have put that up there, really, because I don't know if I'm going to be too lazy to... Hang on, I'm just trying to make this so it lines up. It's not going to line up, fuck it. And it didn't save, great. Come on, you stupid thing. Oh. Oh no, it did. Okay, I'm stupid. I was looking at the wrong number. Sorry about that. I totally forgot that I even had that total up there.
Seem like they could be anybody. It works very well for a horror game. These people are much easier to relate to than a robot.
I have the goal right up there. It's 300. That's how much I would like to raise.
Or a ninja or a member of a special forces team. And the better you can relate to a character, the easier it is to see yourself in their situation, and the more scared you can get. It also allows for more sophisticated storytelling, as you'll find out if you happen to play one of these games. Especially Silent Hill 2. As much as I loved Silent Hill, I figured it flew under the radar and would just be a standalone game. So back when the PS2 was about to come out, I started hearing about a second Silent Hill game, and that got me really stoked.
I actually haven't watched this video in ages, so there's probably a lot of stuff I said in it that I don't even remember. So this is kind of interesting. Yes, you did. Hello.
In fact, Silent Hill 2 and Soul Reaver 2 were what convinced me to get a PS2 in the first place.
I used to put a lot of text on the screen as sort of a joke. I stopped doing that at some point. I don't remember when.
The two most unique games I had ever played were both getting sequels around the same time. Wow. Silent Hill 2
That
made
was a good
gutsy
time.
move with the story. Actually, they made several gutsy moves, but the one you'll notice right away is that, aside from taking place in the same town, Silent Hill 2 has almost nothing to do with Silent Hill 1. I thought it was setting a precedent that every game would be an individual and not draw on the others much.
Yeah, you're right about Theme of Laura.
Almost like the Final Fantasy games. Sadly, the series plays it pretty safe now and references earlier games to death. But this point in time was its shining moment.
Oh yeah, I was really down on Homecoming and Origins when I made this video. After I went and played them, I realized they weren't as bad as I thought they were. But yeah, I do a lot of digs at like Homecoming and Origins in this. I've never really played Kingdom Hearts. I probably should.
Moment where the series proved to have tons
Oof, I'm sorry you had to stay late at work. That's no fun.
of potential. This game absolutely blew me away. And 7 years later, it still does.
Alex the potty mouth.
You play as James Sunderland, who... You know what? He tells the story better than I ever could.
True.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary. My wife's name. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. A dead person can't write a letter. Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago.
I lost some weight a while back. Thank you for noticing.
Why am I looking for her?
People like to joke
See, that was
about
another, that pillow fight thing is
a-
another thing I forgot about. I got a letter. It is the letter Z. That's a good one. I don't know if it's confusing to newcomers. It doesn't really reference the first game at all. City of Ember. I don't think I've heard of that. You guys keep referencing stuff I forgot I said, and it's cracking me up. Yeah, she has an amazing singing
a letter
voice.
from a dead person telling him to go to Silent Hill,
Right?
and he goes.
This whole town was our special place.
What an idiot, right?
Does she mean the park on the lake?
Thank you.
We spent the whole day there.
Oh well, thanks for stopping by anyway.
Just the two of us, staring at the water.
If you're one of those people, you're seriously underestimating what a terrible loss can do to a person. Of course it's absurd. He knows this, and he freely admits it. But he goes along with it anyway.
Waiting for me?
Because the shred of hope that she could somehow be alive and...
Favorite Silent Hill 2 character outside of James? Oh, that's a tough one. I kind of want to say Laura. I get a big kick out of Laura. I'd have to think about it.
and waiting for him somewhere is all he has. As you can probably tell already, the game starts out very slow. I think the idea is to sort of gradually ease you into it. The gameplay is pretty much run-of-the-mill survival horror. You run around, you fight monsters, which you can either shoot or bludgeon to death.
Is it dead?
The hell is it?
What the hell is it?
And later on there...
I put that in there partly because first time I played this game, it was with a friend, and we both got a huge kick out of the way he said, "Is it dead?" the hell is it? While he poked at it with a stick. I don't know, it's just
kind
funny.
of interesting puzzles to solve.
I thought.
But the storyline is where this game really shines. So when playing it for the first time, please give it a chance. It's totally worth it. At least play up to the point where you get to Rosewater Park. Why? Because
It feels weird that, like, I felt like I had to tell people to give Silent Hill 2 a chance. I don't know if it was, like, not as popular when I made this video or what, but... HD versions. I did get Silent Hill HD collection. I played Silent Hill 2 just long enough to see how bad and fucked up it was, and that was about it. Would I ever want to visit Centralia, Pennsylvania? Well, it didn't really inspire the Silent Hill games, it only inspired the movies, but I mean, it sounds like it would be an interesting place to visit if there's a safe way to do it. I got a letter and said, "Your soul is mine."
because this happens.
Fan fiction. Oh God.
No, you're not.
I'm actually paying more attention to the chat than the video.
Girlfriend?
No, my late wife. I can't believe it. You could be her twin.
Oh, I heard about that the guy who played Shang Tsung in the Mortal Kombat movie was doing that. I think the character is made to look like him too in Mortal Kombat 11. That's really cool. Yeah, the HD versions were pretty bad, and Silent Hill 3, like, they replaced all the voice acting. They replaced all the voice work, and there's no way to listen to the original.
Your face, your voice, just your hair and clothes are different.
My name is Maria. I don't look like a ghost, do I? So the hotel was used.
Yeah, if I were making this video now, I definitely wouldn't let these clips run so long. Not because I'd be worried about, like, copyright infringement or anything like that, but because, like, I don't know, the video feels very slow when you let the clips run too long.
Special place, huh?
Yeah.
I'll bet it was.
Wow, that was easily the least appropriate thing she could have said.
I was just joking. Anyway,
Of course it's not just a crazy coincidence that James just happens to run into someone who looks like his late wife and has a similar name.
You're coming with me?
Just like the first Silent Hill game, there's a lot of hidden meaning to things, and you really need to pay attention to every little nuance.
I'm all alone here.
You solve a problem like Maria. That ought to be like James's theme song. Thank you, Anne-Marie. I appreciate it. And Scott Sampson, I don't think I thanked you yet. Oh, this is great. Thanks, you guys. I have to update the, thingy.
I look
I'm up to $80 now.
Mary, don't
I? There's a reason why Maria is similar to Mary.
Or maybe you hated her.
And there's a reason why she isn't exactly like her.
So it's okay?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah,
You also
fine.
meet some other weird people, and you can tell right off the bat that something is a little...
Lost.
Lost?
off about them.
It wasn't me. I didn't do it.
Do what?
I didn't do anything. I swear.
As diverse as these
Thank you.
characters are, they all have something in common, and paying attention to them will help clue you into the real reason why James is here.
Eddie.
Mary?
And again, there's James.
Oh, Maria.
I just love James. He's this awkward, lovable goof, and...
Sorry.
I would have said adorkable, but I don't think that was a word yet. James is definitely adorkable.
He's easy on the eyes. There, I said it. He seems like a really sweet guy, and it's hard to believe that there's a reason why he's being made to suffer as much as he does in this game. But under that kind and shy exterior is a highly complex character. I mean, this poor guy...
Yeah, I love that bit where Angela just goes, lost? Like, what does that mean? It's such a weird reading, but I think they did it that way on purpose to show that there was something not quite right about her.
Guy is just up to his eyeballs in issues.
You!
Then of course there's Laura, who gets a kick out of teasing James and making him suffer.
On my hand.
I don't know. Maybe I did.
James, being who he is, just takes it for the most part.
Later, okay?
But it's really important.
I love that bit where she drags him back. That's just, I love the body language and everything there. How do I feel about My Little Pony confirmed final season? I'm okay with it. I feel like the show has kind of run its course. I actually haven't watched it in a while. I'm at least probably about a season and a half behind. So, or half a season? I don't remember where I stopped, but yeah. I'm okay with them ending My Little Pony. It's good that they end it before it goes on too long. Shipping Fluttershy with Discord is a little weird. But I guess I don't care if people do it as long as they don't get too graphic about it.
I actually really love the way these two characters play off of each other, and some of my favorite scenes are the ones where they interact.
You snotty little brat!
Snotty little brat.
Why, you...
Laura?
You fart face!
Of course, I can't talk about Silent Hill 2 without mentioning the infamous Pyramid Head.
Pyramid Head.
In my opinion, he is way overused post-Silent Hill 2. In fact, it would not have hurt my feelings if he just stayed in this game and they never used him again. It's like the later games just rely on the popularity of this character. Now, if it were up to me, I would never do that.
Oh, God.
I would always have a completely original... What?
Hi, Boxhead.
Oh, him? Oh, it's only Boxhead. Go away, I'm recording a video.
Probably goes without saying that Boxhead was completely Lee's idea. At least I think so. I don't remember if he completely came up with Boxhead, but I know there was a lot of the stuff he did in this was all his idea.
But anyway, in this game, Pyramid Head is great. It's hard to go into detail about him without giving too much away, but...
Yeah, Evil Within stole my idea.
But he's like the co-manager of the Messing with James's Head department. And boy, is he freaky. One hit with a great knife and you are toast.
I love that I got hung up on a corner for a second there and Pyramid Head, I nearly called him Pinhead, just does one hit and James just immediately dies.
Though later you can find it and get to use it as a weapon yourself. It's not too user-friendly, but it's kind of fun.
Safe head. Oh, that was bad.
In part 2, I'm going to get more into the meat of the game. Symbolism, the characters, and all that. But if you've never played Silent Hill 2 before,
well, I could use the money
to pique your interest, stop here, go and play the game, then come back and watch part 2. I suppose if this video hasn't convinced you to play the game, then you can watch the rest purely for entertainment value, but I can almost guarantee that you'll be kicking yourself by the end if you do.
Oh, who let that Still Gaming guy in? The only fictional rapist character I know that has official plushies. It's so true. It's weird. Pyramid Head has gotten popular in all the wrong ways. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, I'm extremely happy. Thanks everybody. So, oh, Tara's got her little paw under the door. Let me see if she'll actually come in if I open the door. Come on, baby girl. Here she is. Oh. You guys get to hear Tara again. Let me just look at my PayPal again really quick to see if it's changed so I know if I need to. Nope, it hasn't. That's fine. Cat stream, yeah, pretty much. Oh, hello, Tara.
So James and the people he runs into throughout the game all have something in common.
Excuse me,
Oh, I'm sorry. I
No,
was
it's
just...
okay.
The first person you meet is Angela, who you originally run into on your way to Silent Hill in the beginning of the game. She's almost schizo and tends to alternate between being skittish, enraged, and suicidal.
Really, this music? It's like, it's really common. They played it in the trailer for the Silent Hill movie. Oddly enough, I can't remember what it's called right now. Cathead.
Because this is where you're looking for her. How else would I know?
Yeah. She pretty much consistently regards James with fear and hatred for no reason that's obvious to him.
Yeah, I love that. I've seen that before. Well, actually, I've seen I don't know if we're talking about the same thing, but I've seen a clock that has a pyramid head in the middle, and for every number it says rape. Like it's always time for rape. Ordinary Vanity. That might be it. That sounds familiar. Let me click on that link so I can see what you're... Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's not the same thing I was thinking of, but that's a good one too. Did I use a rape time clock in a video? I might have. Jeez. Traffic's loud sometimes. I might have used it in a video. I don't remember.
She has issues with her dad, and if you haven't figured out why by the end of the game, you obviously didn't see the writing on the wall.
Some people don't know that phrase, apparently. They're like, what writing? For anyone who doesn't know, it's a figure of speech that means that you missed something obvious. But it's sort of a double meaning here because there are literally things on the wall that give away what's going on.
It's made pretty clear that she killed him. With a knife and presumably in self-defense, but it could have been revenge. And this is what brought her to Silent Hill. Throughout the story, she's searching for her mother, but that aspect of her past is left completely open.
I mean my mother. It's been so long since I've seen her.
Except for the fact that she's been out of the picture for a while, and Angela has built her
The
up
second
in her
image, it's, hang on, let me back it up a little bit.
Except for the fact that she's been out of the picture for a while, and Angela has built her up in her mind as being wonderful.
Let's see, did I go back far
Sadly,
enough? I
but not
forgot where it
unexpectedly,
is.
it does not end well for Angela. My preferred theory...
Oh, well, the second one, oh, well, you can actually kind of see it right there, but it's sort of a relief sculpture of, like, a woman's body, and there's, like, blood in the crotch area. God damn it.
Theory here is that the fire isn't exactly real. Just as James sees things that remind him of his torment, so does Angela. And now the illusion is so strong that James is experiencing it too, just by being in the same room.
Mama! Mama, I was looking for you.
Oh, there's the relief, there's the relief thing there that I was talking about. You can actually see it in this shot.
Anyone left?
It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too. For me, it's always like this.
Oh, I didn't know it was a biblical
So
reference. That's
presumably,
interesting.
she
I
thinks
just know
she
it's an old
deserves to burn in
saying.
hell. So in her mind, she's constantly surrounded by fire. Huh, no wonder she's so unhappy.
That too. about it being
For
looking
whatever
like
it's worth,
the
she's named
bed
after
sheet
Sandra
covering a
Bullock's
body.
character in the movie The Net. I'm not sure what the reference is. I guess it's just because she's running away from something.
Tofu mode in... Oh, look where I paused. Tofu mode in Resident Evil. I've never played it because I've never been able to get up to that. I guess I could use a cheat code, but... Yeah, I've never played it because I've never been able to beat the game with just the knife. I don't even use the knife in Resident Evil games.
First meet Eddie in the apartment complex. Makes a great first impression, doesn't he?
Right?
Like Angela, he's also running away from something. And
Oh,
his
God.
mood changes a lot.
I'll keep that
But
in mind.
In his case, it's more of a gradual thing.
Just like that stupid dog. You had it coming too.
There aren't any real sudden mood swings like there are with Angela.
I was just joking, James.
Seems like the more he talks, the more screwed up he seems.
I gotta run.
You're going out there alone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie?
Eddie!
But unlike Angela, I don't think Eddie actually killed anyone. Well, no human beings anyway. And not before he got to Silent Hill.
Just because of the way you look. After you've been laughed at your whole friggin' life.
Remember, the monsters may look human to
Hello.
you, but they're still monsters.
Are you talking about the monsters?
Monsters. They look like monsters to you?
Maybe.
Don't worry. It's just a joke.
Anyway, just listen to what he says here.
Yeah, I killed that dog.
Okay, obviously he killed a dog. It's a sick thing to do, but wouldn't exactly land him the death penalty.
Died all curled up in a ball.
That's the eternal question. Where did he get that fucking pizza from?
Right in the leg.
And he shot a guy in the leg.
Hmm.
He's gonna have a hard time playing football on what's left of that knee.
Doesn't sound like something he'd say if he actually killed the guy.
You need help, Eddie.
But regardless of the severity of his crimes, he obviously feels bad about it.
Why don't you just say you're sorry?
He may act
Okay,
like he's
thanks for
proud of it,
stopping
and
by.
maybe on some level he is, but
Thank you.
No good. They wouldn't listen. Nobody will ever forgive me.
there's a reason why you first find him throwing up.
James, you be careful too.
Eventually, Eddie just totally snaps.
Oh god, that's too funny.
Doesn't matter if you're smart, dumb,
Ugly, pretty. I actually like this speech. It's all the same once you're dead.
and the corpse can't laugh.
Except for that last bit. That was a bit
And
much,
you end
but
up having to kill him.
all the way up to it's all the same once you're dead. I like that bit.
Here's an interesting fact about Eddie. Originally, they were going to make him this happy, goofy, cheerful character. Now, how they thought they were going to pull that off in a Silent Hill game, I'll never know. But that was the original plan, and so he was named after comedian Eddie Murphy. Although the way he turned out, the name seems a little...
Do y'all like the way I played Axel F when I mentioned Eddie Murphy? I like adding in little things when I like that whenever I think of them.
more derivative of...
Okay, Lotus
life
Prince,
serial
thanks for
killer
stopping
Ed
by.
Gein, who was the inspiration for both Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Norman Bates from Psycho. Although as far as I know, the only Silent Hill character officially named after Ed Gein was, of course, Jasper Gein from Silent Hill 4. More on that.
Actually, I forgot what I was gonna say there.
Killing a person ain't no big deal. Just put the gun to their head.
And then there's Laura.
Oh
Laura
god.
is the only character you run into who is essentially innocent. Well, aside from being a brat.
Hello.
Big fat blabbermouth.
What's a little girl like you doing here anyway?
Huh? Are you blind or something?
So she wasn't really called to the town the way the others were. Silent Hill just looks like a normal, abandoned town to Laura, and she doesn't see any monsters or other oddities.
I can't believe you haven't even gotten a scratch on you.
Why should I?
I have never
Lucky
listened to
her.
Welcome to Night Vale. I've heard
Laura
things
used to
about it,
visit
but I've
with
never
Mary
actually
while they were
listened
both
to
in
it.
the hospital. She went to Silent Hill voluntarily to find Mary again, and for some reason she's not too fond of James.
Ow!
Ha ha.
Hey, wait!
the most important thing about
Yeah, that's true. She's even really mean to him, and he's just like, oh, that's not very nice.
Laura is that her accounts of Mary don't quite match up with
That's
James.
interesting.
I was friends with Mary. We met at the hospital.
Nope, Laura's real.
And it causes some friction between them.
You liar! Laura,
Fine, don't believe me.
More on that soon.
last year.
Laura is named after the main character in a book called No Language But a Cry, the true story of a doctor's struggle to help a battered child who has never spoken a word because of the physical abuse inflicted on her by her parents. Only in a Silent Hill game.
What's that letter?
None of your business. You didn't love Mary anyway.
Wait! How do you know Mary's name?
Part 3.
I'm looking.
I was so snarky in that video. It was fun to make. Screen recording, or I just took a bunch of stills of myself. Actually, what I used to do is I would actually film myself and then take stills of it and save them as images, and then I would just stick them into the video. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but
For someone.
Of course, it all comes back to James.
Someone very important to me. I'd do anything if I could be with her again.
And if you haven't played Silent Hill 2, this is your last chance to turn back before the real spoilers start rolling in. Don't say I didn't warn you. James was called to Silent Hill
There's still
not
time.
because Mary is alive, but because he needs to come to terms with her death and the circumstances surrounding it. There's a lot you can learn about James just by paying attention to all the little details. First, we're going to look at the monsters. These ones are called lying figures, and they represent James's inner torment. They also kind of resemble a person in a straitjacket, so they could also symbolize that James isn't quite right in the head. Mannequins are made of two sets of legs fused together in the middle. They symbolize the fact that James is sexually repressed. Hey, as much as you probably wouldn't want to admit it, if your wife was deathly ill for 3 years, you would be sexually repressed too. And apparently James is a leg man. Nurses are...
yeah, I think I also used the Johnny Smith clip when I covered I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, because I'm like, it's not quite Silent Hill, but close enough. Oh my god, you guys in the silent circumcision jokes, you're making me regret pointing that out. Don't all monsters represent his inner torment? To varying degrees, yeah.
Are Silent
in
Hill
different
staple,
ways.
But in this case, they probably symbolize the way James saw the nurses in the hospital while he was visiting Mary. Again, his sexual repression comes into play because they're basically sexy from the neck down, but faceless. Oh, and while I'm on the subject of nurses, I'm talking to you, developers of Silent Hill
Oh god,
games.
the infamous rant alert. That was a thing that... when did I stop doing that? I think maybe Thrill Kill was the last time I... No, Thrill Kill was earlier than this. Was it? I'm trying to remember when I stopped doing the rant alert thing. That kind of like, I don't know, it just kind of died out. Oh my god. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response.
Please stop ripping off this design and use some creativity for nurses who show up in later games. Enough with the fetishy nurses with grotesque heads already. Silent Hill and Silent Hill 3, and hell, Silent Hill 4 if you want to count that, did something different. There's no reason why you can't. Anyway, giant cockroaches.
You can come in if you
I
want.
got nothing. They're probably just a holdover from the first game.
I'm just interrupting your stream for a moment to say I love you.
Oh.
And now I probably have that stuff all over me.
Probably.
Yeah.
I love you too.
I also have a Kool-Aid tongue. Don't know if that showed up on stream, but... oh. Am I down?
That probably showed up.
Okay, back to work I go.
Okay. That was the thing that happened. Didn't Spoonie do that rant alert type thing as well? I don't know. He might have it. It was the whole, you know, the sort of a semi-Kill Bill reference. Yeah, normally Lisa Panda or a JPEG image. Just depends.
Although...
That's strange. That's the right key.
Silent Hill 4 reveals that James's dad is a landlord, and obviously not a very good one.
I'm sure I heard something in there.
So James would probably be used to seeing cockroaches. Hey, there you go. Okay,
I like the implication that cockroaches are retroactively a reference to Silent Hill 4. Randomly cameos should be more common, right? Those would be nice.
There's no way they could have planned that. But I think it's pretty cool, especially since it's an accident.
Where are you going?
So James came to Silent Hill 3 years after his wife died of a terminal illness.
Oh, thank you.
Didn't you say she died?
One thing I didn't do was I didn't, like, crop out this... You know, I prefer to, like, crop these now so that all that black around the edge isn't there. It just didn't even occur to me to do that back then.
Well, yeah, 3 years ago. But I got a letter from her. She says she was waiting in a special place.
Never heard of Dead... Oh, wait, no, I've heard of Deadwood, I think. I've never watched it, though.
The story starts off with this explanation, but it begins to gradually change into something else once Laura shows up. For one thing, she's a little too young to have visited someone 3 years ago and be able to remember it vividly. Also, she claims it was only a year ago.
You liar! Laura.
And why does James get mad? Well, people who are deluded tend to strike out at those who challenge that delusion.
Last year.
I remember someone actually commented, this was in response to my, top 5 Silent Hill theories that are wrong or whatever. And someone actually pointed out, like, well, what was it? Oh, that, like, James and Laura's stories didn't match up, so he assumed that Laura was the one who was lying. And I'm like, you're kind of missing the point if you think James is the one who knows what's going on. Where did that quote come from? That was from, oh, somebody just explained it, my Golden Axe video.
Mary was already...
So maybe he's just remembering the dates wrong and he's really stubborn about it? No, there's more to it than that. Remember how I mentioned that James has something in common with everyone he comes across in Silent Hill? With Laura, it's obvious. They both knew Mary. But with Angela and Eddie, it's something darker.
It's easier just to run. Besides, it's what we deserve.
And while James doesn't realize it,
I'm not like you.
They do.
Are you afraid?
Don't get all holy on me, James. This town called you too. You and me are the same. We're not like other people.
That reminds me of when Tony and I interviewed Guy Seehey, and he did that Eddie line. He's like, "Don't get all holy on me, James."
Don't you know that?
That was so
what
random.
Did James do that was so terrible? Notice that he spends a lot of time in
Okay, I think I need to let a cat in again.
Eddie?
Come on, baby girl.
Eddie?
Here's my teeny Tara.
I killed a human being.
At the end of this area, he's forced to kill Eddie. And what he says after.
Yeah, I'm recording it. It'll be public later.
Mary. Did you really die?
How is your kitty? Fully recovered? Yeah, Tara's doing good. We got her fixed recently, and she had to wear the cone of shame for a while, but she had her stitches out the other day, and she's doing really good. She has a bare tummy, but that's all. Other than that, you'd never know that she was ever at the vet.
3 years ago? Laura.
I think that's interesting that right after James kills Eddie, he says, "Mary, did you really die 3 years ago?" Like he's starting to remember that maybe he was the one that killed her.
How old are you?
Soon afterwards, after he finally has a logical discussion with Laura.
So, Mary couldn't have died 3 years ago. Could she really?
Oh, did she
be
just
here?
show up in the background?
James comes to the conclusion that Mary couldn't have died 3 years ago, and he begins to hope that he hasn't lost his mind and maybe she really is alive in Silent Hill.
Silent Hill. She even showed me all her pictures. She really wanted to come back. That's why I'm here.
But eventually, the truth is revealed.
I don't know who all is a virgin in Silent Hill, and I don't really care.
She's dead.
She died because she was sick?
I killed her.
But all is not lost. In the good ending, James does get to see Mary.
She might actually, she likes to, part of the reason I have the blinds open back there is because she likes to get up in the windowsill, so she might actually do that while I'm streaming. You might be able to see her in the background at some point. James is hardly a Chad.
And they have this conversation.
Forgive me.
Yeah, they have said that. That Mary was in the trunk of the car.
I wanted to die, James.
Pyramid Head is definitely not a virgin. God damn it. That is pretty funny.
That's why I did it, honey. I just couldn't watch you suffer.
Okay, so now we get it. James came to Silent Hill shortly after killing his wife, who had spent the last 3 years being terminally ill. But he did it for her sake. Right?
No. That's not true. You also said you didn't want to die.
He suffocated her with a pillow.
The truth is, I hated you.
Oh, this bit's so heartbreaking.
I wanted my life back.
James, if that were true, then why do you look so sad?
In my opinion, basically they're both right. Okay, let's back up one more time and look at another character, Maria. She was created by James's subconscious. He wanted Mary back, but he felt that he needed to be punished, so this new version of Mary looks and sounds like her, but she's mocking.
Come on. You're supposed to be the big man around here. How's a little girl?
It shows him actually suffocating her with a pillow, I believe. I don't recall how clear it is, but...
You're like me, supposed to help.
Demanding.
I'll wait here. I hate bowling.
I didn't come here to play, you know.
Hurry back, okay?
And at times downright cruel.
Anyway, I'm glad you're alive.
Just look at how she tears into him in this scene.
Oh yeah, I've seen... That was funny where I paused that. Yeah, I have seen the movie of 1922. That's interesting.
Anyway, what do you mean anyway? You don't sound very happy to see me. I was almost killed back
Why are
there.
you guys so obsessed with who's a virgin and who isn't?
And how he just takes it rather than standing up for himself.
I've never been so scared in my whole
Oh yeah,
life.
there she is.
You couldn't care less about me, did you?
No, I just...
It's not just that he killed Mary.
I made a whipping sound and you could just hear Lee going, oh. He put that in his, that was his idea, of
It was
course.
rationalized that it was the best thing he could have done for her at that point. It's the real reason for killing her. As if watching his wife suffer wasn't bad enough, she became verbally abusive towards him. Here he has a flashback of once when he visited her in the hospital.
James.
I brought you some flowers.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your cat living corpse.
Want any damn flowers? Just go home already.
Mary, what are you saying?
Look, I'm disgusting. I don't deserve flowers. Are you still here? I told you to go.
She yelled at him.
Don't come back.
He became fed up and walked out.
James. Wait. Please don't go.
I wonder if that was the last conversation they had before... Yeah. Of course he doesn't actually hate Mary.
Yeah,
he hates
poor
what the
Mary.
disease did to her. What it did to both of them. Which probably manifested itself into a subconscious hatred of her.
Aww.
And helped with the decision to end her life.
Well, 14 is pretty good
James
age
is
for a
just such
cat. Sounds like she
complex and
lived a long
fascinating
life at
character.
least.
Is it just me, or does this game make you want to study psychology just so you can figure out what makes James tick?
I actually think I might know one person, if I'm remembering correctly, I think I might know one person who actually was inspired to learn psychology because of this game. So it's kind of silly that I make it out to be something ridiculous when it's not really that weird.
I guess it's just me then. In a very early version of the story, the main character was to have two personalities.
Everybody in this
Joseph
game
and
needs a hug.
James. The name Joseph came from Joseph Barnett, one of many people suspect.
This bit's interesting, the whole reference to Jack the Ripper that is really, like, subtle.
Of being Jack the Ripper in the late 1800s. The name James is simply a derivative of that, according to Lost Memories. However, according to Wikipedia, there were 3 people named James who were also suspects. If that's not relevant, then it's one hell of a coincidence. Of course, the name Joseph ended up being used in Silent Hill 4, which was all about the ritualistic serial killer
true.
Walter Sullivan, who is referenced a few times in Silent
Jack
Hill
and the
2.
Beanstalk.
I have no idea if they had Jack the Ripper in mind when they named the Joseph in Silent Hill 4, but if not, then it's an interesting coincidence.
Oh, that's right. I heard that they did solve, or at least had a theory about who Jack the Ripper was. I didn't hear who it was, though. So it's not the guy who wrote Alice in Wonderland. That was really weird that he was a suspect. Oh yeah, Murphy. Murphy got a hug in Downpour. That needs to happen more in those games. Yeah, don't worry. It's gonna go public after this. Or maybe it'll go up on Monday or something. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, it's gonna go up, it's gonna be watchable after it's live. That's interesting.
Mary is named after Mary Jane Kelly, former lover of Joseph Barnett and believed to be the 5th and final victim of Jack the Ripper. She was also the one who was the most horribly mangled. There are pictures on the internet.
Jesus, Tara!
I was weak. That's why I needed you.
Hang on a second. Let me make sure she didn't break anything.
I needed someone to punish me for my sins. That's all over now. I know the truth. Now it's time to end this.
Okay, nothing was broken. God, she's destructive.
Pyramid Head makes one hell of a first impression. In the first cutscene you see him in, James walks in on him violently raping mannequins.
Cat jump scare.
From that point on, whenever he's around, he has a way of making his presence known.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Pyramid Head is another product of James' need to punish himself. So naturally, this particular monster resembles an executioner from the town's dark
Lasagna
history,
sounds
as
good. I
seen
haven't
in
had
this
that in a
painting
long
that
time.
hangs in the Silent Hill Historical Society called Misty Day Remains of the Judgment. I'm guessing that the
Boner
executioners
scare.
didn't look exactly like this, but it's easy to imagine how the painting could have enough impact on James for this intimidating figure to be burned into his subconscious. Also, remember that the last battle with Pyramid Head involves fighting 2 of them. That's because it takes place after James kills Eddie, and now there's an executioner representing each of his victims. It's rumored that Pyramid Head is also based off of one of the Silent Hill cult's gods, the Red God Zuchilbara. This is a combination of an image shown in Silent Hill 3 and people figuring that the word red in the painting's description refers to him. I'm not saying that's necessarily true, but it's a theory that fans like to kick around. Pyramid Head was truly a thing to behold in Silent Hill 2. But, in my opinion, his existence should have begun and ended there. The only reason to keep bringing him back
Oh god,
is to
another
cater to
2
those
rant alerts in
fans
one
who
video?
rather see their
What are you
favorite
doing,
character
Dina?
slash monster used over and over again, rather than to give something new a chance. I actually thought Silent Hill 3 and Silent Hill 4 had the right idea. They basically took the idea of Pyramid Head, a humanoid monster that has a personality of sorts, but they did something original with it. This is why I've put all the other characters first. I want people to realize that as cool as Pyramid Head is, he's not the main thing that makes Silent Hill 2 great. Fans and developers of the games need to realize this if the series is ever going to get anywhere. Just sticking Pyramid Head in, or any other random monsters or concepts from the other games.
Yeah, I don't mind him being in a joke ending. I mean, he's basically a joke now anyway. Yeah. According to Ito, he originally was talking on Twitter about Pyramid Head. Apparently what Pyramid Head's doing in that scene is he's like holding open a piece of his helmet so he can see through it. Or something like that, I think.
Is not going to recapture
Yeah, Valtiel was cool.
Anytime I hear someone saying,
I love Silent Hill 2 because Pyramid Head pwns.
I just want to go after them with a pillow.
I'm tempted to say who I was making fun of when I said that, but she hasn't made any videos in ages. I don't know if anyone even remembers her. Her name was Ultra Neko. She did a video about Silent Hill 4, and she started off by talking about how much she loved She's like, Silent Hill is really creepy, and Pyramid Head pwns. And I'm just like, oh my god. I just thought it was so cringy. Okay, I just threw shade at another YouTuber, but it was a YouTuber who's been, like, off of YouTube for, like, ages, so I don't think that's too bad. Confirmed murder.
Anyway, one thing I can say about Pyramid Head, though, he sure likes the other monsters. A lot.
Oh god. You know what? I better mute this so I don't. That was a funny gag, but I did get dinged for it on YouTube. Maybe I could turn the volume up a tiny bit. So we could just barely hear it. Maybe it won't get... Spill that tea. I honestly normally make it a point not to diss other YouTubers, because I think that's, like, you know, not a very classy thing to do. But...
Well, what can I say? Where Pyramid Head goes, inappropriate humor follows.
Very true.
Another thing is...
She's been off of YouTube for so long, I figure it's okay in this case.
That he definitely manages to make this game even more adult than it would have been otherwise.
How many Silent Hill games are there? 2, 3, 4... Origins, Homecoming... Shattered Memories... Downpour... I think there's 8 main ones, and then there's also Book of Memories. So I think technically 9, but those are only the ones that came out in America. There were more that came out in Japan. They were like cell phone games, and of course there was also the Silent Hill arcade game. Yeah, Pyramid Head does have a tongue sometimes, or a tentacle. I can't remember. I think Ito mentioned which one it was recently, but... Well, I assume it's rape because the monster drops dead afterwards. I'm guessing it couldn't have been enjoying it too much if it was dying.
Otherwise. And that's saying something.
Don't you want to touch me?
I don't know.
Come and get me.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Play Novel. Yeah, Play Novel came out here too. I forgot about that.
I know what you're up to. It's always the same. You're only after one
Oh wait, oh,
thing.
Play Novel didn't come out here. Duh.
Feel how warm I am?
I'm sorry. I feel bad.
So, the hotel was your special place, huh?
Oh yeah, this was a comment on, oh, this is a dumb gag. I was like, I did a montage of every time a character said something suggestive, and then I showed James jumping down a hole. I don't know if anyone really even got that.
Ow.
What's wrong?
I just pricked myself.
And then he says, I just pricked myself. Death Stranding is Silent Hill's theory? Well, I think it's been confirmed that it isn't. But I don't know. I'm guessing it probably isn't. I think they just happened to decide to. I mean, why would they be making a Silent Hills game if, like, Konami canceled Silent Hill?
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Silent Hill 2 has definitely left a legacy behind.
I have played Alan Wake, but I found the controls to be really awkward, so I think I didn't get very far in it. I love the concept of it, but I'm just like, you have to like use the flashlight with one hand and the gun with the other, and it's just like, I don't know, I just thought it was, I didn't have the dexterity to pull it off. So yeah, I love the concept of Alan Wake, but I just, gameplay-wise, it was just a little too awkward for me. Count the E-rated games as Pyramid Head cameos as canon? No. Konami has nothing to do with Death Stranding, so no, yeah, there you go. I didn't actually know what company was putting it out, so...
It was re-released under the title Silent Hill 2 Restless Dreams.
Oh yeah, Restless Dreams.
Aside from the full game as usual, it also contained a sub-scenario called Born from a Wish, where you play as Maria, starting from her conception, up until just before the point where she meets James.
But I'm scared to die. I'm so afraid of pain.
You better get over that quick.
Better get over that quick.
Should I run away?
Frankly, I never really
Pyramid
gave
Head
much
could
thought
be in
to
Smash.
Maria.
I would
guess
actually
just
kind of like to
saw
see
her
that
as
at this
a
point.
Monster in a human disguise, and didn't think about how
Excuse
she got
me.
to Rosewater Park and what kind of things might have been going on in her head.
Excuse me again.
Stop it. You're disturbing me.
I don't know what it is about Ernest, but I love his voice.
Thank God. I finally found something.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Can you open the door?
No.
Born from a Wish treats her like a real sentient person.
I just want to see another human face. What's your name?
Ah.
Ernest.
Hemingway?
Baldwin.
And
Baldwin!
Before
He has
meeting
like
up
no
with
sense of
James,
humor about that.
Maybe she wasn't so bad.
I don't mind fighting for an impossible cause. Anyway, it beats just giving up and doing nothing. You think miracles really can happen?
Never heard of Blackwell.
Silent Hill.
If you're a fan at all, you need to play this. I admit I didn't check it out until very recently, but I am so glad I did. An absolute must-see if you're a Silent Hill fan, or even just a survival horror fan in general, is Silent Horror by X Strikes.
Oh my god, I forgot I mentioned this. I'm not sure if you can still buy this or not,
you've
but
never heard of them, they're a small
I think their store still exists. Another member of the Baldwin family.
company who makes movies based on video games. The movies tend to be fairly simple and low budget, but they're very non-Hollywood. If you like the idea of movies based on games, but hate all those official movies that have come out so far,
I've not played
X
Nightmare
Strikes
Creatures.
movies are definitely for you.
Should have mentioned that they're very low budget. Maybe I do. I don't remember. That's good
Technically, Silent
choreography
Horror
there.
covers the first 4 games, with some Resident Evil references thrown in here and there.
Wait a minute. What? No! Oh!
Brett's so damn funny.
You could have warned me. I fell on my keys.
It pokes fun at a
Fell
lot
on
of
my
common
keys. I
survival
don't know why
horror
that's so
elements.
funny.
We would out of here by now if we just busted in the door.
You can't do that.
Why not?
Darren was really good in
The main
this.
character, played by Brett Vanderbrook, who you might recognize as a certain
That's
Videoland
cool.
defender, is mainly based off
Oh
of
god,
James from
Captain
Silent
S
Hill 2.
reference.
It's a key. Bad place for a key. Oh,
Now, these clips run a little too long.
I'm gonna try
But that's
to fish
just-
it out. Are you sure? Hey, it'll only take a second.
The keys.
Trust me, I got it in the bag.
I plan to give this movie a
Ha.
proper review at some point, but for now, I just wanted to throw it out there.
Oh, mother's beef stew. Ugh, with double potatoes. Oh.
Oh, wait.
Found the key!
I'll explain Captain S in a second.
If you're a Silent Hill fan, you need to see this.
I heard ya!
I love that bit. That's so good. I don't actually know what Brett's doing right now. I do follow him on Twitter and stuff, but he doesn't post very often. I think he's... God, I want to say that he ended up on some TV show that I never heard of, but I'm not sure. Oh, who is Captain S? That's the, yeah. Captain S was a video series. It was sort of based on Captain N, or it was sort of a parody, I guess, of Captain N, but it was, instead of, like, Nintendo, it was Sega, and it was sort of a live-action thing, and, like, it was sort of making fun of, like, various shows like Saved by the Bell and Power Rangers and other shows that were really popular in the 90s, and you should really look it up because it was actually really good. It was made by PBC Productions, who also made Little Miss Gamer, which used to be on Channel Awesome back in the day. I don't think you're supposed to like Maria. She's just another form of punishment for James. Yeah, pretty much. Oh, I do like that she has some likable aspects about her in the Restless Dreams. Tara, would you shut up and stop being a little attention whore?
You could do a lot worse.
Yeah.
Personally, I like it a lot more than the Silent Hill movie, which also referenced Silent Hill 2 a lot.
I miss PBC Productions in general. They made some really good stuff.
I'll be honest, I'm not a fan. I think Christoph Gans needs to be drug into the street and shot. Let's just leave it.
I forgot that I said that. That actually wasn't even in the script, that bit about... I'm like, I'll be honest, I'm not a fan, and I think that's all I was gonna say, and then when I was recording the audio for this, I just kind of added, I think Christoph Gans ought to be drug out in the street and shot. Yeah, once again, I didn't want to talk about the Silent Hill movie, so I just sort of dropped a little hint about it and went, yeah, I don't... Christoph Gans, the guy who directed the first Silent Hill movie. Tina went savage.
Big fan fiction reader. A lot of you probably aren't either.
Boy, that's changed. I only read My Little Pony fan fiction, but I do read kind of a lot of it now.
Let's face it, fan fiction has a reputation for being poorly written, with a tendency towards weird pairings and characters acting...
Oh yeah, unfortunately this fanfic was a joke and it wasn't even real. Somebody wrote it as a joke, which is... I was kind of sad when I discovered that. Drug, as in drag. You drag him out in the street so you can shoot him, not drug him like give him drugs. English is a weird language.
Nothing like they do in their respective sources.
Yeah, crackfic is what it was, which I didn't know that at the time. I thought it was someone's genuine attempt at a good
fan fiction
a
out
good
there,
fan fiction. You never know.
One of the few stories I've read that I really liked is a novelization of Silent Hill 2 as written by Ryan M. Usher.
Oh, I remember this guy. I used to be friends with him on Facebook after this.
It's written in the first person, from James's perspective, of course, and has a wealth of detail.
Yeah, it was.
I discovered it because...
You know what gives it away? There's a scene where, like, Hitler shows up in there, and at one point he quotes M. Bison from the Street Fighter movie. That kind of gives it away. But I think I wasn't familiar with the line at the time. Yeah, it was.
A while back, but I think I found a link on the GameFAQs message boards. But from the moment I clicked on that link and started reading, I was hooked. He does alter the dialogue a little bit and make it seem a little less awkward, but in some cases I have mixed feelings about that. Some lines from the game definitely could have used some help, but in some cases I think maybe he uses a little too much artistic license with it. Also, he has James swearing a lot, which I've seen some people complain about in the comments section. And I kind of have mixed feelings about that too. On one hand, okay, James doesn't swear in the game, but on the other hand, a lot of the swearing is in the narrative, and just because he isn't saying it doesn't mean he's not thinking it. But still, it does feel a little out of character at times. But he is in the process of rewriting it. I think I may have inadvertently
He never did finish that
triggered
rewriting.
my desire to do that when I emailed
Unfortunately.
him and asked him if I could feature his story on my show.
Sailor
It's been
Moon and
taking out a lot
Terminator,
of
what the
F-bombs,
fuck?
And I have to admit, it does work a lot better that way.
Tara, get off
But even
my
before
desk.
the rewrite, this story is completely worth the read, if only for how good the narrative and descriptions are, and for all the interesting.
If you're gonna be
little
up here, you're gonna be on camera.
Rather than try to describe it any further, I'll let it speak for itself.
She doesn't like being picked up, so this isn't
I
gonna last
saw
long.
room 208.
Oh, here we go.
The door was slightly open. There was static noise, and the eerie glow of television emanating from within. I gripped the door handle, about to enter, when a different kind of static suddenly scratched at my ears. It was louder and much closer, the radio in my pocket. I had built up a theory about what the sound means, so I spun around, through the bars, there. I didn't see it a minute ago, but now I could see it even without the flashlight. It was red and softly glowing. It looked like a man, somewhat, but its head was huge and strange, sort of like headgear. At least that's what it looked like. Darker red than the rest of the body, and enormous, and shaped like a pyramid, but with weird dimensions. The point at the top made it seem like a good 7 feet tall. It had on a dirty apron, a heavy butcher's apron. It was stained dark, with what could only be blood. It just stood there, barely moving. I couldn't see any eyes, but I could feel it watching me, observing me. Waves of terrible feelings washed over me. Hate, anger, fear. I could feel how much it hated me. It terrified me more than the straitjacket and the mannequin monsters had. Those others were abominations. But this pyramid-headed monstrosity...
Yeah, I think this was my favorite bit in the fanfic.
This thing was pure evil. Hate and vengeance, and all of mankind's worst concentrated evil. Its eyeless stare made my skin crawl, and my hair
Wow, this goes on
stand
for
up
a while.
like I'd walked into a sort of static field. The pyramid head, it just stood there, wavering, staring at me, hate and vile, damning thoughts coming out of it. I couldn't take it. I was losing it. I ran into room 208 and slammed the door behind me. I didn't stop to think about dangers that might be waiting inside there. I didn't care. Nothing could be worse than the buffeting evil aura of that pyramid-headed thing. I leaned against the door, closed my eyes, and tried to recover my senses, all the while choking back sobs from the abject horror of that thing.
Someone asked if I still, oh, thank you. Yeah, I tried to really do that justice. Yeah, I have been keeping in touch with Guy Seehee too much, mainly just because we mostly, like, communicated over Facebook, and I kind of stopped going to Facebook a while back, but he did do a stream kind of recently, and I you know, popped in and said hi, and he was like, oh, hi, Dina, even though it says Cybercat on there, so he remembers me. But yeah, I don't keep in touch with people too much unless there's a specific thing I want to talk to them about, so I haven't been keeping in touch with Guy too much, but I do occasionally, you know, pop over to Facebook to see what he's up to.
See the video description for links to both versions of the story. To hear the rest of the story read by James, you'll just have to use your imagination. There is one more fan thing I need to show you. I actually found this one on accident while doing a Google search for good images of Pyramid Head to use in this video. Remember that painting you find in Silent Hill's Historical Society? A fan of Silent Hill who goes by Yoshio-kun13 on DeviantArt.
Oh god, this guy, I'm actually, I still know this guy. He actually pops into my streams once in a while. Too bad he didn't show up in this one. That would have been interesting. I don't recall if he still goes by, I don't think he still goes by Yoshio-kun13 anymore. I don't remember what he goes by now, but I would know it if I saw it, but it's not immediately coming to me.
He even stretched the canvas himself, since he wouldn't have been able to find one that was the right dimensions. Now that's dedication. He's done
that's
several
cool.
other paintings based on the various paintings you see in the games, and he even held a Silent Hill themed art show last Halloween. I wish I could have seen these in person. He's even displayed it in my own hometown, sadly after I'd moved from there. I probably just missed it too, with my luck.
Yeah.
Again, see the video descriptions for links to
He's actually done a lot more Silent Hill related, yeah, I hate Facebook. Anyway, he's actually done a lot more Silent Hill paintings and sculptures and stuff. He sent me pictures of them, but unfortunately I didn't get them until after the video was done, so I wasn't able to show them here.
his stuff. Oh, and I've done a little bit of Silent Hill art myself. Only one that involves Silent Hill 2 so far. But working on this video
I love being a shameless self-promoter.
has inspired me to do more.
Only Lee
So,
would get that
we'll see.
joke, and he's probably not in the chat.
Here are some more links that you should check out. GameFAQs.com has a lot of plot analysis FAQs of various Silent Hill games, but my favorite is one done by Silent Pyramid. He covers the first 4 games, the graphic novels, and the movie. But sadly, it stops there. It looks like it hasn't been updated in a very long time.
Oh
and I don't know
god,
if it
this
ever
is dated as shit. That's the downside to talking about current things in videos. You never know when they're going to become dated, like silent horror and hell, I mentioned Captain S in there. MS Paint stick figures. Oh, thank you.
will be again. And that's a shame, because even though I'm not a fan of Silent Hill Origins, I'd be curious to know what he thought of some of the imagery. But there is still a lot of information.
Yeah, this was before I had discovered the Silent Hill wiki, which, you know, these days I would be a little careful about referencing the Silent Hill wiki, but for some stuff it's good. But yeah, this was before I discovered it, so there was this very specific, like, FAQ on, in-depth FAQ on GameFAQs I used to go by, and it was written by this guy named
On there.
Silent Pyramid, I
it would take you a while
think.
to read through it all.
I was talking about
A
it
lot
here.
of it is information taken from the Book of Lost Memories, the official guide of the first 3 Silent Hill
Curses
games,
and
along
Alex,
with
I like that.
speculation of how some things tie together. I don't agree with all of his theories. Even with Silent Hill, it's possible to read too much into some things, and I think he does that at times. But it's still a really good read. Some of the info in this video about the characters was
Circumcision
taken
Hill
from
wiki.
there, and it also made me take a second look at Silent Hill 4 a while back. It made me appreciate it more. Speaking of the Book of
I think that guy's still a mod on there. He's not an administrator, but I think he's still a mod. All people do in this chat is talk about the circumcision guy. Oh yeah, Silent Pyramid. Yeah, his stuff is really good.
Lost Memories. There's a translated version of
It actually also inspired my Silent Hill 4 novelization, because he went into so much detail about how he, you know, about what he thought Henry was like, and it just sort of got the wheels turning, and I'm like, I want to make a book out of that.
on the internet. Anyone who thinks that the imagery in Silent Hill is simply random and has no meaning needs only to go to translatedmemories.com to be proven.
That site doesn't exist anymore either, though. I found it through the Wayback Machine recently, so I guess I'll still reference it if I ever need to.
Been wrong. And this is another place where I got a lot of the info for this episode.
Though I think there are other sites that have like scans and translations of the Silent Hill Book of Memories. Or it's Lost Memories, sorry. Book of Memories, that's confusing. Proof that he was circumcised. Bloody forceps in a hospital.
Well, that just about wraps up this episode on Silent Hill 2. You know how I end every game den by saying something like, it's not the best ever, but blah 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 blah? Well, fuck that. At least as far as story is concerned, Silent Hill 2 is the best game ever. I mean, how many video games make you
Best game
contemplate how
ever.
you might act, what you might do if someone you cared about was terminally ill? How many video games reference
Interesting.
books on child abuse, name their main protagonist after Jack the Ripper, or cause you not only to sympathize but empathize with a murderer?
Look at this kitty.
This is really adult
She's all
stuff.
draped over the
And
back
not
of my
even so much
chair.
because it's disturbing, but because it's sophisticated. And that's pretty rare in the gaming industry, even in the Silent Hill franchise. I may have spoiled a lot of the story, but there's plenty that I didn't talk about. Aside from one little scene, I didn't even touch the index. If you haven't played this game yet, just what the hell are you waiting for?
Still time.
Exactly.
I forgot
That's it
that
for now. See you
forgot
next
that I
time.
used a second clip of that. Here we go.
Hey, Dina. Pillow fight?
No, that's okay.
Aww.
Oh god. The old Game Den cat doesn't look so good in retrospect. I'll turn this way down so that I don't get dinged for the copyright thing. Obviously I'm doing the dog ending from Silent Hill 2 here. Various, these are just various outtakes and stuff. Oh my god, I forgot most of this stuff. There's some very random images. I just stuck in shampoo from Ranma 1/2 for no reason. Was there a gag at the end here, or was that it? Oh, here comes Thrill Kill. You know it when he leaves on the back of your chair. That's funny. One strike doesn't really mean anything. It's just kind of a warning. So I was really happy when it turned out I got 1 strike instead of 2. Because I think if I got 2, I wouldn't be able to stream, or maybe I couldn't do super chats or something. I forget what happens when you get 2 strikes now, but it's kind of changed since the last time I got strikes, so... Actually, I have to go to the bathroom really quick. Actually, I have to refill my water cup, too, so I'll be back in a second. You all can look at Tara on the back of my chair if you can see her. There she is. There you all can look at Tara while I'm away. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, apparently Tara jumped off the chair while I was gone. That's too bad. Tara pussied out. Yeah, cunt punt is pretty funny. I forgot that I put that up here. I'll have to put up text that only shows up for a second, so you have to pause it to see what it says. What happened with the strike? Oh, it was for, Hellraiser, Hellworld. Miramax didn't like me referencing it. Yes, a cunt punt is what you think it is. Okay, let me just look at something real quick here. How many more videos do I have to get through out of curiosity? Oh, I've got Thrill Kill, Abadox, and the top 5 Silent Hill fan theories. I might just watch all of those. Make the stream as long as possible. Why not? Oh, my balance went up. Let's see. Thank you, Jonathan Barnett. And Anne-Marie Payet, I think I already thanked you, but thank you anyway. So, 1 second here. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate it. They should be trying to disown a film like that. Yeah, I know, right? Why would you want to admit that you own a Hellworld? Oh, thank you. I still want to make that remake of the Abadox game. I would love to do that someday. I love the idea of Abadox as a third-person shooter. How triggered YouTube would be if you reviewed A Clockwork Orange. Yeah, that was funny. That wasn't lost on me. I want to say Abadox takes 2 hours to beat, but maybe I'm thinking of Golden Axe. They couldn't handle the truth about how bad Hellworld was. Oh God. How's that for a wake-up call? How often do I play video games these days? Not that much, unfortunately. Well, I play Bejeweled sometimes while watching TV, but I don't think that really counts. Yeah, Hellworld is awful. Okay. Here we go. I've actually done a commentary on this one before, which is why I didn't put this one closer to the top. I think this might have been the one that actually got the most requests, but I didn't really want to do it because I've done a commentary on it before, but I hadn't done like live commentary, so. Oh, hi Rutana. Yep, you made the stream. They only make Hellraiser movies so they don't lose the rights. Yep. The last 2 were pretty much made for that reason. Maybe previous ones too, but the last 2 are the ones that I know for sure were made for that reason. Yikes. Okay. Ooh, that's loud.
Dina
Whoa.
here. Welcome to the den.
Sorry about that.
Now, if you've seen some of my other reviews, You already know that I love horror-themed games.
Oh, really? Do you, Dina? It was an older video. People probably didn't know that back then. The music I'm using here is, it's like, it's a cover of, like, I think the Nightmare on Elm Street, the soundtrack to the Nightmare on Elm Street NES game. Wow, I would love to see the script that got rejected for not being good enough to be a Hellraiser sequel. Yeah, that's probably true about Thrill Kill.
Really, they've been around forever. But back then, for the most part, they were either pretty tame or they managed to fly under the radar for whatever reason.
Chiller.
But then Mortal Kombat came out in 1992 and all hell broke loose. It was such a huge success that it started a whole lot of controversy about video game violence. As in whether or not it affects kids on some deep psychological level, and whether or not these violent video games should be banned or at least regulated.
California is now home to an estimated 175,000 to 200,000.
That music is too cool for Dan Lundgren.
1986 to 1991, in this state, arrests for juveniles for murder increased by 135%.
Wait a minute. Did he just blame gang violence on Mortal Kombat?
Did you just use a record scratch gag? Well, technically he didn't actually. I didn't notice that that year doesn't line up with the year the Mortal Kombat first came out, I think. Nobody ever, only like one person ever caught that. It's still kind of appropriate because he's still blaming video game violence. He's still blaming like gang violence on video games. Just maybe not Mortal Kombat specifically.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It was Mortal Kombat that triggered the ESRB rating system.
I like this bit, this bit of animation I do here.
In 1998, another fighting game
little transition in the scrolling.
Even further. And in fact, it would have been the first game ever to receive
I don't know if I would think to do that now. That was pretty cool.
AO rating. I say would have
yeah.
because this game was so controversial that it was canceled and never officially released. Of course I'm talking about Thrill Kill, and damn, I first heard about this game through video game magazines, and it was just all over the place. I was just so fascinated with the concept of this game. It just looked so gory and so...
Yeah, I really thought the whole thing about video game violence was a thing of the past. I can't believe they're like bringing it up again.
So messed up that I just wanted to play it so bad, and I just could not wait for it to come out. But, as I said, it got canceled, and I was so unhappy.
Oh, the sad kitty image. I used that again recently.
Now,
in a recipe video.
At the time, the unfinished version of Thrill Kill was all over the internet by this time. But I didn't get my first computer until like a year later. Yeah, I know I was way behind the times. So it's not like I had any way of downloading it. But as it turned out...
Yeah, Penn and Teller's bullshit on video game violence was really good.
I had this friend who had a friend who had another friend who downloaded the game, and what it comes down to is we all got copies of it. So that made me very happy. So what I ended up with was the early beta version. It was basically a bare bones game.
Yeah.
It was really just gameplay and title screen, and that was about it. Oh, it also had the practice mode. But it had all the important elements, and the gameplay was completely intact, so that's the most important thing. The only problem is that it would take forever to load. Sometimes it would practically lock up.
No background music.
It was about to
I
crash,
probably mentioned that.
It actually rarely would do that. After a while, it would just continue. It would also crash occasionally, but not really that often. And there was no background music or FMVs. Anytime you would get to a point where there would be an FMV, you would see this video showing Virgin's logo. So you can imagine how disappointed I was to beat the game, and instead of seeing the characters ending FMV, I would see this. Frankly, this animation just hurts my eyes for some reason, so I hate looking at it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to give me a seizure or something. But don't get me wrong. While it isn't fair to really criticize an unfinished
Some of these faces I
will
make.
admit that these are flaws, and they are kind of minor annoyances. But honestly, they really didn't detract from my enjoyment of the game. I mean, I enjoyed it that much. I just think this game is so much fun. But, you know, after I played it for a while and, you know, beat it with, so many characters and on so many difficulty levels, I just kind of found myself wanting more. I wanted a more...
I used to not script my videos back then. I would have like an outline, and then I would just ramble, and I would just sort of make it a point to mention everything that was on the outline. So that's why I do things like say,
So, some people didn't even believe it, but there was rumors going around that there was a nearly finished version of Thrill Kill that was circulating.
You can really tell I'm unscripted. I'm occasionally like pausing to think of the right word to say and stuff.
Internet access, but I wasn't very internet savvy. Plus, I only had like a 56K modem.
Here we go with the text on the screen again.
It's not like I could really do any downloading. So a friend of mine directed me to this, let's just say that they sold certain unlicensed video game, third-party.
Yeah, like these days I could just download the game, but at the time I couldn't do that. I mean, the internet existed, but I wasn't able to... I wouldn't have been able to download a game, I don't think. I actually had to buy a hard copy of the game from one of those stores that sells, like, illegal... Or not illegal, but, like... unlicensed video game stuff.
Peripherals and games. Only now do I realize what a huge gamble I was taking by trying to order something from a site like that. But it worked out fine, and I ended up with my very own copy of the nearly finished version of Thrill Kill.
Champion Edition.
Now, what's interesting about this version of the game is that it has more things that you can unlock. It has the FMVs. This really just about feels like a finished game.
Yeah, bootleg.
It also occasionally locks up and such, but it's not too bad. It depends on what you're playing it on. But what's really interesting about this version is that they did some mild censoring on it. By this point, I think they were figuring out that getting an AO rating might not have been such a good idea, so they were trying to aim for an M rating. And some of it's kind of silly. They left in all the gore and the violence, but the characters who were originally wearing thongs are now wearing briefs and just minor little things like that. Basically, they removed all the borderline nudity and a lot of the sexual stuff. They also fiddled with the sounds a little bit. Belladonna's moan was replaced by a giggle, which wouldn't bother me except that it's the exact same giggle that Violet has. And using it on Belladonna as well kind of takes something away from Violet. It makes her a little less unique. The only change they made I can think of that doesn't involve sex or nudity is they changed the sound that Cletus makes when he takes a bite out of the severed leg. Basically, it goes from being
there's a weird gag coming up here.
Munching, ripping sound to, well, this.
Yummy.
Not only is that kind of silly, but it doesn't even make sense. I mean, you can't say yummy while you're biting into something. Well, I guess you can, but it come out like, yeah, whatever.
It's a random outtake where Lee was putting a cookie in my mouth or something, and I stuck that into the corner for some reason. Free the cheeks.
For the most part, they took out some of the sexual stuff but left in all the extreme violence.
It does sound a little like Groovy, doesn't it? I never thought about that before.
I would guess that they probably just hadn't gotten around to taking those out yet. But who knows? You know, in America, violence is completely allowed in the media, but, you know, show a boob and everybody freaks out. But that's another rant for another time.
Boy, video really dated itself there.
The work that went into this episode because I had a hell of a time getting these games to play.
Yeah.
As far as I can recall, the best way to play Thrill Kill is with a modded PlayStation, as in it has that little chip soldered into it. The game is basically a lot less glitchy,
Text
and
again.
I think it even had background music, or at least the nearly finished version did. Even once I got a PS2 and didn't even really need a PlayStation anymore, I held on
so
to
much
that
text.
PlayStation because I knew at some point I was going to want to play Thrill Kill again. Unfortunately, someone let it get broken while we were moving, so now I no longer have a modded PlayStation. A Game Shark would have been an okay backup plan, but I no longer have one of those either. Then a friend of mine managed to find me an emulator, but it would only play the beta version and not the nearly finished censored version, and I really wanted both for this episode. Eventually we managed to get both versions working on our little portable PS1 using Breaker Pro. And that works great. The only problem is that the door no longer closes, so all I need is something to keep the door closed while I'm playing, and I'm golden. Also, kind of as a bonus, Lee managed to redeem himself by finding a version of Thrill Kill that is nearly finished and uncensored. So
uncensored. I love that it looks like it's misspelled. Yeah, I know, right? Game Genie and Game Shark were great.
This is like the perfect version of Thrill Kill I always wanted. Only took me 10 years to get it. So for the rest of the episode, this is the version of Thrill Kill I'll be showcasing. Now, playing Thrill Kill is definitely a unique experience. You play as some sort of freak no matter what character you choose, and the second the match starts, 3 other freaks come right at you. Every character has what looks at first to be a health bar. Actually, it's kind of the opposite of that. It's called a kill meter. And rather than your bar going down as someone hurts you, your bar goes up as you hurt other people. So the more damage you deal out, the more your bar fills up.
Are there any other games that do something like that, or like any fighting games at least that have a what's the reverse of a damage? Or the reverse of a health bar? I don't recall any other game doing that, but there might be. I want to say there's one that does it, but I don't Oh, okay. Like gory Smash Brothers, I like that. Yeah, it's a neat concept.
And once your bar fills up completely, you are granted the ability to kill one of the other players. Now at this stage, there are 4 different basic kills you can do, depending on which button you're pushing when you grab your opponent. You can hit them so hard they stick to the wall, hit them so hard they explode. You can decapitate them with one hit, which is what the computer always likes to do.
There was an early version of this game where when you decapitated your opponent, the head would kind of rotate up and it would look right into the camera, and it was really creepy. I don't know why they changed it so that you only see the top of its head. Maybe it was a censoring thing, but that was really creepy how the head would sort of spin as it came up and it would like look right at you.
Or my favorite, which is to hit them so hard that they stick to the ceiling and their blood rains down on you as you celebrate. Personally, I love the concept of the kill meter, because it forces you to be a more aggressive fighter. To be honest, I'm normally not that good at fighting games, and when I do play them, I tend to do a lot of blocking, and I'm just a very defensive fighter. But Thrill Kill really puts me on the offense, and it just motivates me to just get out there and just kick ass. I mean, this is not the kind of game where you can just kind of wait around for the timer to run out, and if your bar is higher, you'll win. No, you absolutely have to kill the other players before they kill you. It's kick ass or die, and horribly. And speaking of which, after you've killed 2 opponents and it's down to you and 1 other fighter, once your kill meter is filled up, you get to do a thrill kill, which is like the basic kills, only a lot more excessive and elaborate. And boy, is it ever satisfying. You want to talk about gory? Some of these kills are just so over the top.
The fate of the world will be decided in this dirty bathroom.
I mean, I could really go on all day about how violent this game is.
He rips her arms off and then hits her with them. Oh.
Oh yeah.
Rips his head off and then drinks the blood out of it.
What was I saying? Oh, right. Aaron Kelta, one of the creators of the game, was quoted as saying that they really didn't hold anything back. They put in just about every sadistic little thing they could think of, as long as it didn't interfere with gameplay. By the way, the thrill kill that is the most sadistic, in my opinion, is this one coming up.
Oh yeah, this looks painful.
Ow! Oh. Wasn't there a point I was trying to make? Oh yeah. So, yeah, the game is violent, duh. That's a no-brainer, and you pretty much know that going into it. What caught me by surprise was how much I ended up liking the characters. Basically, here's how the story goes. Every single one of these characters has died and gone to hell. A demon called Maruka thinks that it would be cool to have them fight each other in a tournament, and whoever wins gets to be reborn. Each of these characters is shown as kind of a twisted, exaggerated version of what they were in their lifetime.
I think a cat wants in.
One of my favorite characters to use is Violet the Contortionist. She is just so off the wall, and her moves are just so crazy to watch that it just makes her fun to use. And the fact that I can be a little bit cheap with her doesn't hurt. But I think my favorite character
Cupcakes edition. Oh god.
Violet is Dr. Faustus. There's just something
so unsettling about a deranged doctor. Something about all that knowledge of human anatomy put in the wrong hands. Damn it, I almost had it.
Kind of a comical character. His moves consist of...
I wonder how many times I've used that clip since then.
What is it, Teeny Tara?
Surprisingly graceful martial arts and some crazy dog-like behaviors, where he uses that bear trap on his face to actually
Dr.
fight.
Giggles.
It's just nuts. He is arguably the strangest character to ever come out of a fighting game. Now, these
That was a
two are
bold
the only
statement.
characters that I really use consistently, but there are a lot of others that are just so cool to watch. Tormentor has some very brutal attacks and he screams a lot, which
I actually don't know why I've used it so much. It's just... I don't know.
makes him kind of intimidating.
I guess
He
it's
has this
funny.
one kill
It's just a
involving
thing I do. I
chains,
don't know.
Which, in my opinion, is a very obvious reference to Hellraiser. Belladonna's pretty cool. I've never had much luck using her myself, but she's interesting to watch. She's very, athletic with all these crazy martial
True.
arts moves she uses. In fact, she kind of reminds me of Catwoman, especially when she's wearing this outfit. Also, Belladonna's image is pretty popular, and she ended up being the poster girl for Thrill Kill. Oddball is a character that I actually kind of felt sorry for first time I saw him. It didn't seem fair that he's having to fight with his arms either missing or tied behind his back, depending on which version of him you're looking at. But he more than
That's
makes up
true.
for it. He's, when the computer's using him, he is very aggressive and he is just all over the place. He also manages to utilize his head and other appendages. Yep, you saw that right. This is probably the only game that has an
Ass rape attack.
or at least the only one that isn't hentai. Cletus is a redneck cannibal, which basically means he has kind of a Hannibal Lecter meets Deliverance kind of vibe.
Stop being a butt.
He has some great martial arts moves for no logical reason at all, and he has some of the most brutal kills.
He just starts
Personally,
eating his
I don't
opponent's
care too much
face.
about him, but he is kind of a comical character, and when the computer's using it, he is very, very aggressive. In fact, I freaking hate fighting against him. He also has some kills that are very weird and kind of funny.
Tara, you're such a butt.
I can't say I'm too big on Mammoth either. As far as I'm concerned, big, powerful characters are pretty much a dime a dozen.
I don't know what
I think
Soul's
the
doing. I
smaller
think
and
he's
faster,
Soul's
more agile
Soul's not in here right now. He's in the hall somewhere.
But I guess every game has to have.
I got my door closed.
As for Kane, no, not that Kane. This Kane.
I made a running joke out of randomly referencing Soul Reaver whenever I could.
A character who is sort of a mid boss. When he shows up, you know that after you beat him, you've only got 2 boss fights to go before the end. He's another character that I kind of like to use. I don't use him too often because it's a little too easy to be cheap with him. But damn, those fire attacks are so much fun. Plus, he's really sadistic and he has an awesome laugh. He has this one certain attack that just cracks me right.
Oh god, I forgot that I used to put YouTube poops in my videos. If anybody even remembers what those are.
Yes, he farts fire. Kane from Soul Reaver would not be caught undead doing that.
Cast him in.
Judas is the first of 2 bosses, and he is quite possibly the biggest freak in the game, and that is saying something. His attacks are just insane, and he really makes full use of that strange anatomy he has. You know, looking at one of the alternate versions of him makes me wonder if maybe the creators of this game were fans of a certain 2D fighter. Nah.
Ugh.
Predictably, the final boss is
I hate the
Maruka,
tongue
because
sticking
she
out
was the
picture. I
one
don't know
who
why I
arranged
thought
this
that was so
tournament
funny
in the
back
first
then.
place. She's fun to use, and she is unlockable. Unfortunately, you're unable to use her in tournament mode, so you can't, you know, beat the game with her and see any sort of final FMV with her in it. Which is kind of a
Hi,
shame,
Niktana.
because it'd be interesting to see what her backstory was. She is still fun to use in the verses and practice mode.
There are some YouTube poops that are really well done, like the that Dragon Ball Z one. Like it's over 9,000. That one was really good. Actually, that guy used to make really good YouTube poops.
So, if only because
How
she
does
is
Judas
so
use
damn
the
cool.
bathroom? I assume he
I'm
doesn't.
sure someone will come along and correct me, but as far as I know, this is the only fighting game I've ever seen where the final boss was female. So that's kind of
Boy, I regret saying that because every single person responded with, "Well, there was Dural from Virtua Fighter." God.
very blatant reference to Hellraiser. You basically look like you're fighting inside the puzzle box. There is one more character that is unlockable in the final version of the game, anyway.
Oh, baby.
He's called the Gimp.
I
and
forgot
you
about
cannot
this
play
guy.
as him at all.
Oh,
Mainly he's just
baby.
a dummy for you to smack around in practice mode. But he has to be seen to be believed.
Oh, thank you. Do it to me.
Oh, baby.
I love that voice. Oh, baby.
Not including the normal glitches that naturally come with an unfinished game, there are only a couple things about Thrill Kill that I would complain about. First of all, there's a reason why I haven't talked about
Oh
it.
yeah, the FMVs.
They really aren't that great. Apparently Paradox commissioned some random Russian company and they only gave them about 2 weeks to do it, and it shows. The videos are very short and not very good quality, and they really don't tell you much about the character that you didn't already know going into it. The other thing is that Maruka is insanely cheap and nearly impossible to beat in the almost finished version of the game. And this is in the easier difficulty settings. In the harder ones, the game is almost unplayable at this point. Now don't get me wrong, she's the final boss, so of course she's gonna be hard. But that's not what I'm complaining about.
Oh god, yeah, she is
This
so
just ticks me
cheap.
off
It's
because
just
she's such a cool and powerful looking character, but seeing her pull such
90s
cowardly
CGI
tricks
is
as these
spineless.
really kind of kills that feeling and makes her seem kind of pathetic. Hell, you know what? This is what it feels like to fight Maruka.
Stay classy, Dina.
There, I could have made my point without even showing her. Still, I can't help but think even now that it's a shame that this game never came out. And to think that there was a time when Thrill Kill was nearing completion and a lot of people were looking forward to it. It was all over the magazines. They even had a booth at E3 of that year. We were so close to getting our Thrill Kill. But then the company that would have been putting the game out, Virgin Interactive, was bought by another company. I won't mention
To each their
name.
own, I guess.
I'll just say that they represent everything that's asinine about the video game industry.
I don't know why I didn't mention EA by name. Oh, I remember why I did. I used to work for a video game company and we worked with EA, and I guess I was kind of worried that might get back to the wrong person if I, like, directly complained about EA. Or maybe I just did it as a joke. I don't remember. Let's play of this? Probably not, because I'm so bad at... It wouldn't be really fun to watch me do a let's play of a fighting game just because I'm not very good at them and I tend to spam the same move over and over. Yeah, it suits Konami too. Yeah, I mentioned Wu-Tang a little later in this video. I didn't really work on any games that you've probably played. Unichronic Arts. I believe that's what Jim Sterling calls them. Yeah.
Their take on Thrill Kill was this. We don't feel that the game's content is appropriate regardless of who publishes it. When you look at Mortal Kombat, you look at a fighting game, as opposed to a sadistic killing game. Thrill Kill is a killing game. The product did not meet our standards for appropriate...
I'm trying to think of games that I did stuff for that even got published. Oh, well, I guess the most obvious one to mention is Real War. It was a war strategy type game. So yeah, I think that might be the only one I did that actually got published and that you can actually play. And don't ask me what I did in it. I just did a bunch of like random buildings that get blown up, and like I think I made some skirmish maps. But yeah, it wasn't really, it's nothing that you would recommend, nothing you would recognize as being like my work. Other than that, I just did like, I think I created a level for a Hot Wheels game that was only online, and you can only play it by like putting in a code that you got from buying a Hot Wheels car. And like, what else did I do? I did a little game for EA's website. It was a little flash game called, you played as a little elf and you controlled it was like a Christmas themed game. What was it called? Well, you played as a little, you controlled a little trampoline, and you bounced this elf around so he could collect things, and it was like a Christmas themed. Yeah, I worked for a local video game company for like 4 years. From no, not Elf Bowling. I think it was inspired by Elf Bowling though. Seriously? Well, Semi-Logic did make a Hot Wheels game, but I didn't join the company until afterwards. But yeah, I made like a little level online for some online version of it that they had. No, it wasn't Elf Bowling. It was a little flash game. Well, I guess Elf Bowling was a flash game, but no, this was a game that we made to put on EA's website, and we actually did it for free, and the idea was that we wanted to, you know, establish a working relationship with them. So what they ended up doing was they ended up like paying somebody else to make a similar game for them. So we didn't work with EA again after that. I think it was called Bouncing Elves. It was like I said, you control a little trampoline and you bounce an elf around and he collects objects and stuff. Yeah, that's typical EA, really.
Content. So
Yeah.
not only would they not put the game out themselves, but they refused to sell it to any companies who wanted it. This is what gets me. It's not
Yep.
so much that they canceled the game, that happens all the time.
Hmm.
It's that they
Yep.
decided to act like the morality police.
Oh God, rant alert again.
About the game's existence, as if they could protect the world from it. And if that isn't bad enough, they also didn't pay Paradox their final milestone payments, and Paradox had to learn about the game's cancellation through a news posting on IGN.
God, I sound so mad.
.com. Real professional. By the way, as this video is being made, the company in question is trying to buy Take-Two Interactive Software.
I think that didn't actually pan out, but that was, at the time I made this video, they were trying to...
So, yeah, the people who thought that Thrill Kill was too violent and offensive and went out of their way to make sure that nobody ever got to play it are buying the rights to Grand Theft Auto.
Oh yeah, EA's still around.
Try and wrap your brain around that one. What's really painful is seeing the game Wu-Tang Shaolin style.
Here we go.
That Paradox made with the Thrill Kill engine that they were so graciously allowed to keep. Personally, I can't really get into it because it's not my style. I'm barely even familiar with Wu-Tang Clan, to be honest. But in some ways, it looks like a more polished Thrill Kill. So maybe if Thrill Kill had been put on the back burner for a year instead of being cancelled, the level of quality might have been a little more like this. In fact, the game might also have spawned some sequels. And it would
EA equals enormous ass hats, I like that.
as the technology progressed. So while this game can be found on the internet, and as a side note, while it's not as easy to find as it used to be, you can still find the character designs that were done by Paradox on the internet, along with cover art and images that you can print out and print onto a CD if you have a CD stomper. But pretty much what you see here
I remember
is
CD
all you're
stompers.
ever gonna get. And I think that's kind of sad. For what it is, Thrill Kill is actually a pretty good game, and I really think it could have improved and gotten even better if it had a chance. But hey, you know, on the bright side, at least we did get a chance to play it, even if not legitimately. So, that about wraps up this episode on Thrill Kill. It's not the best game ever, but it's still
not
a
the
lot
best
of fun,
game
and
ever.
I really enjoy playing it even now.
I say that a lot.
Just please don't ask me where to get it. Because I want to make sure I end on a happy note, I'm gonna leave you with Belladonna's thrill kill that caused the ESRB to totally freak out. Either they stop paying attention to it halfway through, or they really don't have a sense of humor.
She's tickling her foot if you can't make out what's going on there. I really should have, like, redone that, because the background is so dark and their clothing is dark and it's hard to make out what's going on. But yeah, it looks like she's about to go down on her, and she, like, you know, goes down off the camera, and then when the camera backs away, turns out she's tickling her foot. So, like, yeah, they wanted to censor that, even though it's clearly not what it was made out to be in the beginning.
See you next time. Now is the time on Game Den Ben Vidance.
I forgot about that joke. Here's another part where I have to mute it so that I don't get dinged. Yeah, there's a sort of like the same idea as the friendships in Mortal Kombat. Like, if you do I don't remember how you make these work, but basically you can, like, dance with your opponent instead of killing them. I had to really speed up that one to be in sync with the music. EA essentially anal. I used to try to make my credit sequences as long as I could so I could fit a lot of the music in there. I'll look at Maruka's sexy dance. Oh, here comes Abadox. Oh, that's loud. Sorry. Thrill kill babalities. Dance-ality.
Hey,
oh my
this is
god.
Dina. Welcome to the den.
These faces.
Now, I think just about all gamers have their preferred genres.
Yeah.
For me, it's generally Japanese RPGs, survival horror, adventure type games, preferably horror themed, but they don't have to be.
There's Soul Reaver again.
Platformers, and I even went through a fighting game phase once upon a time. These days, I wouldn't be caught dead playing a space shooter because, well, mostly because I suck at them, and I just don't have the patience to
Thank you for the donation, Michael Storms.
try to get good
Appreciate
at games
it.
that have a higher difficulty than I can handle. But it wasn't always like that. There was a time when I would give just about any game a shot, as long as it looked fun or
I have never played Eternal Darkness. I believe it was on a system I didn't own, and I haven't really gotten the chance to play it yet. Oh yeah, I did show a clip of Eternal Champions, didn't I? I love to show off, like, obscure games.
I'd heard good things about it, or I just liked the box art. And I was a lot more patient with games back then. I had a lot more free time on my hands when I was a kid. I was not above spending all weekend trying to beat one if it was in a genre that I wasn't good at. And this is why I can call Abadox one of my
Yeah, that's it. I never had a GameCube. My husband had a GameCube, and I sort of have access to one now, I think, but I haven't had a chance to play
favorite NES games. Funny thing about Abadox is that I really don't remember how I discovered it. I had no gaming magazines back then. I only had TV commercials, word of mouth, and the pictures on the box to go by when choosing a game. It could be that my mom got it for me figuring I'd like it, or maybe it was advertised on TV and I asked for it. It's kind of funny that it's one of my favorite NES games and I don't even remember how I discovered it, but there you go. Okay, before I go any further, I gotta be honest about something. While I was actually pretty good at this game when I was a kid,
I was really worried people were going to judge me for using cheat codes for this game. Nobody did, though.
I basically suck at it now. So, to get all the footage I wanted to get, I had to use an invincibility code. Okay? If it bothers you, deal with it.
Although I did put a similar warning in the beginning of my Echo the Dolphin video years later, but I was a little less concerned. I just put it in there as a kind of as a precaution. Tina, you noob.
Here's the story in a nutshell. Your home planet, Abadox, has been swallowed by a massive planet-eating monster called Parasitus. Yeah, kinda like Unicron, but not robotic. Since you're probably the only survivor,
Someday I will make a
your
video about
job,
Transformers the
lucky you,
movie.
is to go inside Parasitus and save the princess. Okay, it's lame, but this isn't the kind
Save
of
the
game
princess.
story anyway. You start off on the outside of Parasitus as you make your way to the mouth. This is easily the least interesting level of the game. The enemies are clearly meant to seem horrific, but really they're just kind of silly.
Oh, I
because
referenced
they don't
something in
make
this
any
video
kind
that
of
never
sense.
happened. I'll have to pause and
Flying
explain it when I get to
eyeballs,
it.
Flying skulls.
You got the
flying
power.
sets of chomping teeth. And what's with the purple pterodactyls? They just look kind of out of place among all that other stuff. But it's the boss of this area that really sets the stage for the rest of the game.
Who has the worst scream, Echo or Chelsea? Paraphrasing, but, huh. That's a tough one. I think Chelsea's screams might be worse. Of course, you don't have to hear them as often as Echo's screams.
Whoa, what the fuck?
The
Now
censoring
this skinless
again.
horror puts all those dogs in survival horror games to shame. This thing is enough to send the Tyrant and Pyramid Head and Nemesis
Tapeworm the
screaming
game.
into the desert. This is one of the few bosses in this game to actually have a name. For some reason, it's called Bao.
Bao.
B-A-U. Personally, I
True.
think the simplicity is kind of neat, and as silly as it sounds with being the first boss, I think it's actually one of my favorites in the game.
Bao was awesome.
I don't know, I just think he seems so cool. But sadly, he is evil and must be destroyed.
Not the next film then, but I will do it at
Bye-bye,
some
Bao.
point. I'm kind of not in a hurry to cover anything, Kitty? I don't think Tara's in here. Unless I misunderstood. What was I saying? Bao has a laser cannon. I think that's an eyeball on his back, actually. The voice actor for his farts. What was I gonna oh yeah, do Transformers the movie in the next game filmed in. Not the next one, but I will cover it someday. I'm kind of not in a hurry to cover anything owned by Hasbro after all the shit they gave me for my Little Pony videos. But someday, actually I'd like to do Transformers G1 in general. Maybe like a type of vlog site type series where I cover all the episodes, but and eventually get to the movie, but oh, okay.
Now we're in the mouth, and I'm gonna have to stop here for a minute, because for those of you who play a lot of space shooters, this part of the game is gonna look very familiar. And very similar to a game that I had played years before.
I'm somewhat looking
then
forward to it.
all
I haven't been
forgot
watching
about.
My Little Pony lately, but
There was a
I keep
certain
meaning to get
arcade
back
game
into
I
it.
played a lot when I was a kid. At a convenience store down the street from my house. And yeah, this
Reference
is
to
the same
Golden
one where I
Axe.
used to play Golden Axe. But this was long before that.
Yep.
The game was Life Force. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it, if only because it's a spin-off of Gradius. I never got very far in it because, like I said, I suck at shooters, but man, this game was so pretty. The graphics and music. Like Abadox, I liked playing it just for the experience of seeing and listening
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, it was a thing of beauty. Now, I know I said that I don't remember why I bought Abadox, but I do know that it was not because I had heard it was a similar game to Life Force. It was sheer coincidence. I just got up to a certain point in Abadox and went, wait a minute.
Thank you, Michael Storms.
I had friends who used to make fun of Abadox and call it Life Force 2. But really, it's only the first level, along with the occasional...
Funny thing is, there is a Life Force 2, although I think it's kind of a recent-ish game. It's really beautiful. I've never played it myself, but the graphics are gorgeous.
Occasional enemy throughout that these games have in common. Where Abadox has a storyline involving being inside a giant creature, Life Force was mainly just a series of cool-looking but random locations. Now, some versions of Life Force are a bit more like Abadox, with having that whole, you know, internal theme. But that was a later version, and you know what? If I was going to talk about Life Force / Salamander and all its variations, it would take a whole episode.
Yeah, so my friend Danny and I, I've been friends with him for ages. He was like one of the first fans I had, I think, and we sort of became friends over the internet. He and I talked about making a series where we talk about, like, you know, hidden secrets and the history behind video games and stuff like that. And I think we ended up not doing it just because, well, for one thing, we we put it off for a long time. Like, nothing ever came of it. We started doing one about Golden Axe, but it never got finished. And I think at the end of the day, we kind of agreed that, like, there wouldn't be much point in doing it because there are so many videos out like that now. But yeah, for a time, I was going to collaborate with a friend and we were going to have a show called Video Game Secrets. But it never happened. I teased it here because I really thought it was going to happen someday, and then it never did. So now I have to explain this.
Anyway, this boss is called Deathface.
Okay, yeah, we talked
about
Shang Tsung a little bit earlier. That's pretty cool.
The rest of the names are more like descriptions like this one. Anyway, while it behaves like and is reminiscent of the first boss in Life Force, it looks a bit more like a bug-eyed Freddy Krueger, doesn't it?
Wanna suck face?
I forgot about that gag. That's cute. Wanna suck face.
Now we're in the throat. If you're blind and haven't noticed by now, this game is super gory. You don't get to see 8-bit gore very often, so it's pretty cool if you're into that kind of thing. I am. And this is pretty unusual for a Nintendo game. These are the
there you go.
censored Mortal Kombat
Video Game Secrets itself is a secret.
I guess here they can get away with it because there's no violence against humans, only monsters, and no actual blood, just lots and lots of viscera. And eyeballs. I mean, you're just about up to your eyeballs in... yeah.
That wasn't that funny.
The enemies are kind of neat in this area. You have green pods that shoot projectiles and these other things that look like demonic sperm,
yeah, that gag is coming.
You also have, according to the instruction book, the hands of death and lizards of doom.
Yeah, see, your joke is funnier than mine. I don't see the problem here.
Filthy heads of our doomed enemies. I gotta sing the doom song now.
This clip went on a little too long.
Now the boss at the end of this area is so fucked up. In the middle bottom we have this weird pod thing with a mouth that opens up and there's what else but a big eyeball inside. Okay, that's pretty nasty.
I've never really been too interested in animation. I guess if I was going to animate something it would have to be 3D animation. And that'd be a lot of work. I don't know if I'd be up for doing that. Gur's passive aggression.
Nasty, but that's not the worst of it.
Oh, that's
no.
right.
Now, let's look at these blue fleshy things that shoot projectiles. Okay, that's pretty gross, but no big deal. Wait a minute. What's going on with this one in the lower left corner? That's a head! I don't know what's going on there, but whatever it is,
I don't know why that made me laugh.
It is so wrong. Let's put this thing out of its
Yeah,
misery.
what the fuck?
Now we're in some kind of nerve center, and if you can forget where you really are for a minute, it's quite pretty.
Oh, thank you.
It kind of looks like a blue underwater forest with dancing flowers and fish-like enemies, and a boss that looks like a shark. Even the music is nice. And even kind of bouncy and happy sounding, all things considered.
I forgot about saying that's
really
a
just
dick.
about all the music
It's kind of similar to that.
I'm not saying it's the best out there, but it suits the game well, and I like it a lot. In fact, I'd also love to see more of those of you who are musically inclined do covers of some of these tunes. I wanted to use some for this review, but I could barely find anything online. You know, for a game that's sort of horror-themed, some of these levels are really colorful. Personally, I love it. There's just not enough color in video games anymore. Everything is all gray and brown. I'll take pretty colors.
That's not so much the case as it was when I made this video.
Do I even really need to say anything about this crazy-ass boss? It's cool, I guess. Okay, it's really cool, but totally nonsensical. Then again, that could apply to pretty much the whole game, couldn't it?
Yeah, I show some of my own artwork at the end.
We are now in the stomach. And how we got there from the nerve center, I'll never know. Yeah, don't even try to figure out the anatomy of this creature.
From the nerve center to the stomach makes sense to me.
Now, aside from the music, the sound effects are pretty good too. You hear a nice wet pop.
Yeah, they have. I do believe it was a thing when I made the video, though.
Pretty nasty, but they could have taken it even further if they wanted. A little more variety would have been nice rather than hearing the same sound over and over. For other enemies, it just sounds like a random explosion. Again, not the best, but it works. Yeah, pretty much all the mid-level bosses in this game are pretty cool, but not that big a deal. Except Bao. He's a freaking badass. Okay, time for more of the same, I guess. Oh.
Wow, the video just kind of... There was like no fanfare for part 2. That was interesting. I wonder why I did it that way. I guess this was an earlier video. Maybe I wasn't doing the whole little intro for part 2 as well. Yeah, I think that's the case. Golden Axe is probably like that too, now that I think of it. Arm control nerve in the stomach.
Why do I hear nothing but a giant heart?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of that drawing of Bao. That was a...
Oh, God. Oh, God. It is the dreaded Cilia monster.
This thing is so cool.
This is the freakiest enemy in any game ever. Holy crap. Is that thing ever big?
Nope, it's not art theft.
In this
That's
case,
my
there's only
that's
one
my
sound
DeviantArt.
worse than that heartbeat. The boss music! You know, for some reason I can accept just about everything about this monster, but the eye lasers just cross the line
Cilia,
to
god
absurdity
damn it.
somehow.
Excuse me. Yeah, for some reason the eye laser just
Now this is
takes
where
away from the
game
realism.
gets decidedly less cool in my opinion.
And only that.
The instruction manual refers to this level as the intestinal channel, but it makes a somewhat jarring transition from all the organs and viscera
Gaz was
to
cool.
what looks kind of like a space station. What the hell game am I playing now? I mean, it makes sense that if this creature swallowed a lot of mechanical stuff, that you'd be seeing a lot of it at some point. And don't get me wrong, it's still nice graphics and it looks cool, but they kind of take it too far and basically took out what made this game unique to begin with.
The last monster
And
cell
the bosses
shaded?
you fight in this level are all robots.
I don't recall.
The second one
I
doesn't
wasn't
even
paying
look all that
attention, I
interesting.
guess.
It doesn't
I
move
wasn't paying
much.
that much attention.
That's about it.
Yeah, it does have really good music.
By the way,
Such
this one
plentiful
boss fight that
organs.
consists of 3 robots. This is as far as I ever got when I was a kid. I can't believe I ever got that far without any cheat codes. I got this
Cool,
far
Nick Tan,
just
I'm
out
glad
of
you're
pure
enjoying it.
tenacity. Good times. Zoom down the tube of death.
I gotta sing the Doom song now.
Aside from the change in scenery,
That
the
joke
game
was a
has
little
another
iffy.
flaw. I know you can't tell because of the invincibility code, but
More
it is
organs means
very,
more human.
very hard.
Yeah.
One hit kills you. There are little projectiles.
I'm surprised I didn't think to reference Zim, especially that plentiful organs line. I'd like to think if I made this video now, I would have thought to do that.
Where you can't touch the walls, and there are some corridors that are very, very tight.
Oh, okay.
You do get power-ups, but as soon as you die, you lose them, and you start right back at the beginning of the level. Now, I'm not saying that difficulty is a bad thing. It's just that this level of difficulty just isn't what I like in a game anymore. Just be warned that this game is brutal. Now we meet the final boss. I wouldn't say that it's the scariest boss in the game. The Cilia monster definitely wins that prize. But it's probably the most unique and detailed. It kind of looks like the love child of Audrey 2 and...
That's right, boy.
At least the developers finally got
I intentionally did that really quiet as if he was in the background saying it. I don't know why I did it that way, but I just thought it'd be funny, and I still think it's kind of funny. A game I put on, like, for the Game Den? I know I keep putting the Soul Reaver games on the back burner. Not looking forward to covering that. That's gonna be complicated.
It's shooting ghosts at me. Does that mean that Parasitus's former victims haunt its insides? Okay, I don't want to think about that. It's just too weird.
I don't know if I could really do a game den on Deltarune. I don't know
Once
if
you
it's
destroy
like
the boss,
enough
you
of
get
it
to
there to
rescue
do a
Princess
game den
Maria.
on.
I hate bowling.
I could do Undertale, but everyone else has talked about Undertale at this point, so I don't know. Yep. They're both Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops.
Who is now, for some reason, really small and inside a sphere. Whatever. You probably thought that beating the final boss meant the end of the game, right? Wrong! You get to go ridiculously fast and try to dodge all these structures. I told you this game was brutal. And here's one more thing to think about. You go in through the mouth, then through the body.
Catwoman.
Where do you think you're gonna come out?
Here we go.
The butt!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true about Deltarune.
As much as I love this game, I have to admit that it suffers from bad box artitis. Okay, it doesn't compare with
Actually, yeah, Silent Hill the Arcade is one I'd like to cover at some point.
Mega Man. But I do get the impression that at least this artist has drawn a human being before. Okay, I guess it isn't technically that bad. Just
You did. You just missed your cameo. Yeah. Oh.
Am I in here? No.
There's a delay. You'll probably show up. There you are. Take the kitties with you. They're little troublemakers. I don't know why he's doing that. He doesn't usually do that when I stream,
cheesy
but
and
oh well.
inaccurate. I can't believe this is supposed to be Deathface. He looks like a big slug with teeth. Is that a flying saucer? And what's up with the main character? Shouldn't he be in some kind of mecha suit? I don't think that a couple yards of colorful spandex and a helmet are going to give you much protection. Not to mention
you
that
guys
he
are
just
too
looks
late.
like
He's
something
gone.
out of a low-budget sci-fi movie from the 70s. Well, at least they got the title right. No, seriously, it looks awesome. Better than the title screen in the game, even. Oh, and look who put out this game in America. Yeah, the company that put out Connect 4 and Hungry Hungry Hippos also put out one of the goriest NES.
Hungry Hungry Eyeball Monsters, the frantic human munching game. I should be laughing at my old jokes, but I do get a kick out of that gag right there.
Games ever made. I freaking love it. Despite some of my complaints about Abadox, I think that some of the visuals are so cool. It'd be interesting to see how well they would translate to, say, a
Yeah, I
modern
think I'll
3D
keep them.
shooter. Yeah, I would love to see an attempt at a remake of this game.
Here we go.
So I kind of tried to make one. Well, not really. I'm not a programmer, and I don't even know any 3D programmers, so about all I could do was play around with character and monster designs.
I keep hoping that someday Lee will learn programming so he can program my Abadox game for me. Hippos are rampaging through a city and eating people. That's funny. I would like to talk about, I don't know though, I don't know if I would, no, I probably wouldn't do a game den on Tomb Raider, but I might do a Let's Play of Tomb Raider 2 someday. I really like to play that one. That Lee guy seemed like a good chap.
Along with the 3D modeling and animation. I don't expect it to ever be finished since I haven't touched it in years, not to mention I'm just too busy these days. But at least it was the good—
That's totally up on my DeviantArt page. I'm really proud of that drawing. That was like the first time I ever scanned a pencil drawing and colored it, and it turned out really good. I've done that a few times since.
excuse to pad my portfolio and learn some new things about using 3D Studio Max. I did a lot of these little test renders just to kind of get a feel for what some of the creatures in the game would look like.
Do I like the rebooted? I haven't actually played them, so I haven't really played any Tomb Raider games since, like, which was that one that was a prequel? That might have been the last one I tried to play, but I didn't get any. The only Tomb Raider game I played a lot was Tomb Raider 2 for some reason. Yeah, I like it's sort of it's almost like a puzzle game, you know, like with the jumping and stuff. I kind of enjoy that for some reason.
Here's a test render I did of a simple nerve center type area.
Yeah, see, if I were to make this game, I would need someone to, like, design the levels for me, because I don't know how to do level design. Like, my attempt at doing a background here is to have a hallway. And, you know, obviously the environment ought to be more interesting than that. Locking your butler in the freezer never got old, right?
Look at structure-wise, but I mainly made it to play around with volumetric fog, which I had never really done before.
Oh yeah.
Of course, the ones I worked on the most are the main character, my first attempt at a mecha design actually, and the Cilia monster. And I know these are kind of low poly. I did these just before the latest generation of systems came out, and I guess I was playing it in...
I think with the Cilia Monster, actually, that was a... Let me go back and look at that. I should have... there we go. Yeah, that was actually a pencil drawing that I... What did I color that with? I don't think I did it... I don't think I did that in Photoshop. I think I did that in some other program, but it, like, mimics watercolor. That's a pretty interesting approach, too, to doing Abadox fan art, I think. Filmed an episode on Clue. I'm not sure about that one. I do like the movie, of course. I don't know anyone who doesn't like Clue, but I don't know if I would really do a film den on it. Yeah, Cilia Monster does sort of look fish-like. I think even more so in the game than my version here.
And I know these are kind of low poly. I did these just before the latest generation of systems came out, and I guess I was playing...
The latest generation of systems in, 2009. Or actually, yeah. God damn it, you guys.
It a bit safe with a polygon count. These two videos coming up are actually about the most complete I've ever made. Usually I just model a character or two and never get beyond that. This
That's true, I did get pretty far in this.
Lip-sync. The voice and sound effects are going to sound very familiar if you're a fan of Transformers.
Okay, let's straighten out this mess. Disarmament, acid pellet style.
It is really hard animating someone saying disarmament.
The second is a simulation of what the Cilia Monster level might look like. It's shorter than the original, and it's very unfinished, but hopefully you can see where I was going with it.
Yeah, clearly that's unfinished. I wouldn't have the teeth be like triangles if it was done. That's music from Panzer Dragoon Saga, if you didn't know. I like how the eyes kind of quickly look at you as you go by, like they're just noticing and looking at you. I thought that was kind of a nice touch.
I actually lost most of this stuff a long time ago. All that's left is the concept art and renders. That's fine though, most of this stuff would have to be redone if I was ever to get serious about it anyway.
Thank you.
As for what the game would be like,
I really still want to do this game someday. I don't know how I would do it. Like I've kind of messed around a little bit with what's it called, Unity, but you still have to do programming in Unity, so it's not like I really want a program that makes it easy to make 3D games. So like all you have to do is, you know, model the stuff and animate it, and you can just drop it in. I've never used Blender. I normally use 3D Studio Max. Yeah, a lot of people prefer low poly. I think it ages better, probably. People kind of look at it as like being retro. There's already been a 2D Abadox.
like, I think giving the main character a flashlight, a la Silent Hill, would be interesting. And it would make sense, since the inside of a monster wouldn't exactly be brightly lit. And since I'm not big on first-person shooters, I'd go with a more survival horror look. Basically, the way I imagine this game looking on the current generation of systems would involve enemies and areas that resemble those from Abadox, in an engine that's very similar to Silent Hill Homecoming.
So kind of like Dead Space. I think Dead Space hadn't come out when I made this. Although Dead Space isn't exactly what I imagined my Abadox game looking like, so Dead Space isn't close enough that I feel like I, you know, I still want to make my Abadox game, is what I'm trying to say. Abadox RPG Maker 2000. You know, I haven't seen the Tremors movies that much. I don't think I probably wouldn't do a film den on those. Unless, you know, maybe I got into them.
That would kick ass.
Such a dork.
Well, that about sums up this episode on Abadox. If you're a fan of space shooters, you could probably think of better ones to play, but at least this one is pretty unique as far as the general look of it. And if you're into horror games, blood and guts and all that
Oh.
good stuff, this is a pretty good place to get your
October of 2008. Let me see, when was this made? 2009. Okay, I guess it had come out yet, but I hadn't played it. Maybe. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, I guess you could use RPG Maker to make a non-RPG game. See, see, I'm really only interested in 3D games because I don't really have an interest in doing 2D animation. But at least it was an interesting game. I didn't get very far in it, but I like it. It's just not the sort of game I would want to make myself.
Well, that's it for now. See you next time.
Oh, shit, I gotta mute it again. God damn it, me and my insistence on using, music I don't own. Fan of the Alien films. Somewhat. I'm not, like, a huge fan. I like, Aliens is actually my favorite one, I think. But I haven't seen, the others as much, so... I made it so that the heartbeats synced up with the music, obviously. That was kind of a neat thing to do, but yeah, I really shouldn't have used so much.
She even showed me
Whoops. Okay, I believe this is the last one on the list, so I guess I'll go ahead and do this one too, and then I'll end the stream because I'm actually getting kind of hungry. I've been at this for, yeah, it's been 3 hours, so... This is about a half an hour long, so I think once this video's done, I'll end it. Have I covered the Splatterhouse series? I have not. I haven't even really played it that much, actually. Let me just look at something really quick here before I continue. Okay. Yeah, this is the longest stream I've ever done.
Wow, it's been a while since I did a Silent Hill video. And after this one, you'll know why. I kid. Most of the people who post in the comments section are cool. But with how Silent Hill games basically encourage the players to analyze them, there's the occasional person who has a weird pet theory that they can't back up, and they still refuse to let go of it. In some cases, there is literally straightforward evidence in the game to prove that they're wrong. And that's basically what this video is. I'll be taking 5 fan theories and doing my best to debunk them based on information in the game or in some cases.
Oh, cool. I'd love to do voice acting. I don't know if I'd be good at it, but it's one of those things I've always wanted to do.
But they're ones I've heard at least a couple times that rubbed me the wrong way for some reason. For the record, there's no reason why you're not allowed to have your own headcanon. I'm not trying to police your imagination or anything. What gets my dander up is when people treat their pet theories as fact and get into arguments with people over some faux facts that they basically made up. But I'm going to avoid theories that are open-ended and could really go either way. I once got into it with a guy because he took Douglas's offhand comment about having been to Silent Hill on a missing persons case to mean that he was looking for James Sunderland.
You've been there?
Once. On a missing persons case.
Oh god, yeah, this is the
I
one where
honestly think
circumcision.
The developers put that in
Damn
to
it.
explain why Douglas knows how to get to Silent Hill and add a little exposition about what kind of place it is.
That's one screwed up town.
With him already being a private investigator, just adding that he had to look for someone there once is a really easy way to do that. Douglas doesn't say anything about the person except that it was a man who he...
For the record, like, I don't go around picking fights with people over like Silent Hill misinformation. It's just like the guy had mentioned it I don't know, several times, and after a certain point I'm like, okay, dude, there's nothing really saying that he was talking about James.
we never found.
So I just wanted to make that clear. I didn't like pick a fight with him because he said something I didn't agree with one time. It could have just as easily
been Dr. Kaufman or Eddie or even someone not mentioned in any games. I mean, the very nature of Silent Hill is that when people go there, they don't always make it out. And my point was just that it doesn't have to be James. And he acted like, of course it was James, and it was silly of me to even question it. But in that case, there's nothing to say that it isn't James
you guys.
either, so that's not the sort of theory I'll be talking about.
However, this guy is a good example of the sort of Silent Hill fan that gets on my nerves. Speaking of things that get on my nerves, here's a fan theory that isn't really a theory so much as basically just a mistake that kind of grew into a common misconception. I feel like this one has kind of faded into obscurity, but since it's come up in my videos so many times that not mentioning it would be ignoring the elephant in the room, we'll call it an honorable mention.
He was in a car accident, and he woke up to find that his daughter was missing. And now he has to trudge through this deserted town in the snow and—
It's not snow, it's ash. I literally cannot say it in any other voice. Basically what happened is that the movie, which is a loose adaptation of the first game at best, has a bit where Rose, right after waking up in Silent Hill, sees what looks like snow and then realizes it's ash coming down from the sky. And I didn't mind that, actually. It's okay for an adaptation to have unique little details like that to set it apart from the source material a little. But what seemed to happen is that casual fans of the games maybe assumed that the game developers were involved somehow and the movie was expanding on the game's universe, or more likely it was just a Mandela effect where they just— That was actually a line in that story. The car was circumcising in the air. However it happened, I had to put up with people correcting me on that for a while. There's no reason to think that it's anything other than regular snow in the game. The only time it's mentioned is when Kaufman comments that it's an odd time of year for it to be snowing. Hell frozen rain, in fact.
This time of year.
I mean, I guess you could apply some mental gymnastics to that to indicate that he's implying that it's not really snow, but however subtle Silent Hill can be, I really think they would have acknowledged it more clearly than that. Like, I really think Harry would have noticed early on that the snow didn't feel cold, and he would have made some kind of observation about it. I actually thought this one died down until Shattered Memories came out and someone complained about the game mistakenly having snow when the original had ash. So who knows, maybe it's still out there, but I've just been lucky enough to not have to hear about it over the last couple of years. If nothing else, hopefully Shattered Memories has caused a Mandela effect of its own to correct what the movie did. So yeah, I know I've talked about that one before, but I don't think I ever officially addressed it. For the record, that was a really cool shot right there. However, it's such a classic that I still occasionally joke about it.
When's the snow supposed to stop?
If I'd seen the forecast, I wouldn't be here.
That
I'd be watching TV from
and get teased by my colleagues. So without
Yeah,
further
thanks for
ado,
that,
here's
Linkara.
my top 5 list of Silent Hill fan theories that are wrong.
Number 5.
God damn it.
Silent Hill 4 is a random game that has nothing to do with Silent Hill. They just slapped the name on it at the last minute because Konami didn't think it would sell otherwise, and that's why it sucks and isn't a real Silent Hill game. What the hell? Yep. 13 years after Silent Hill 4 came out, people still think this, still complain about it, and still use it as an excuse to hate the game. What happened is that the developers, in an early interview, made the mistake of mentioning as a kind of fun fact that when they first came up with the idea of Silent Hill 4, they were going to call it Room 302 and it was going to be a spin-off of the series.
What the hell?
And fans just kind of took this and ran away with it. The thing is, by the time they'd gotten to the 4th installment of the series, the games were beginning
It's a minor thing, but I like some of my editing choices in this one where, like, when I say fans took it and ran with it, I show Henry running.
Stagnate.
I always think stuff like that's
felt
amusing.
That Silent Hill 4 was a good time to try some new things. Some of those things worked and some didn't, but fans didn't like the changes and just kind of fabricated this story about how this was just some random game that Konami slapped the Silent Hill
I never played any of the
onto
Evil Dead
because
games.
they
If
didn't
I ever
think
play
anyone
them,
would want
maybe.
to play it otherwise.
Oh, that's just stupid.
Hell, when I did my Game Den episode on Silent Hill 4, I did as much digging as I could and could find no info about what the game was supposedly like before the name change. So I theorized that it must have happened very early
Rant
in
alert
development.
again.
Well, since then, more info has come out to further that point. More interviews with the developers have resurfaced where they talk about wanting to change the series. These are not things that people making an entirely different game would say, so I think it's pretty clear that the game was probably still in the planning stages when they decided it would be a Silent Hill game. The reason the game is different from the previous ones is not because it started off as something else. If anything, it was the opposite. They wanted to take this existing franchise and try different things with it. It's fine if you don't like Silent Hill 4. I know it's flawed, and I talked about those flaws in the Game Den video I did on it. So I'm not saying that you aren't allowed to dislike it, but at least hate it for legitimate reasons, and please stop perpetuating this bullshit myth.
Number 4.
And that's the T.
Alex Shepard is gay.
You gotta be
I accidentally paused right in the middle of that. Thank you, Nora Weber.
shitting me.
Now, I do get why theories like this pop up, even not taking yaoi lovers into account. There really isn't a lot of LGBTQ plus representation in media in general, let alone video games. So I think some people try to see it when it isn't there because they want to. This one is on Homecoming's Wild Mass Guessing page on TV Tropes, which already makes me take it with a grain of salt, because it also says Alex is the soldier from Team Fortress 2, and the whole series was Alex making up stories to entertain Josh. But I've heard it mentioned outside.
I'm never mentioning circumcision again.
It is, I think it's fairly popular. Some reasons given are the fact that there are no pictures of him on the walls, his dad is heard telling his brother not to be like him. It basically comes down to his parents don't accept him because he's gay. And that just doesn't really go with the rest of the story. Alex's parents treated him badly because they had chosen him to be sacrificed.
Damn it.
Possibly even before he was born. It's like how farmers don't treat their livestock as pets. It's going to be a lot harder to kill something if you've grown attached to it. So they made it a point not to get attached to Alex, and were downright mean to him. Kept him out of the family pictures and tried to turn Josh against him at one point. In fact, it makes sense that they'd want Josh to hate him too, because that'd make his sacrifice easier on Josh. Hell, they even convinced themselves that it was also for Alex's benefit. Like if he'd had a shitty life, he'd welcome death.
Interesting.
I had to make sure that he would never feel joy or compassion. All the things that make life worth living. You must understand, I was only trying to make things easier for him.
Which is kind of bullshit, but it's a good example of how people can
Every once in a while somebody asks that. Yes, it's a Snackies cup. It was a gift from somebody.
People don't like the twist at the end and think that if they were going to kill one of their kids, they'd be extra
I don't
nice
use the
to
snack
kid
part of it.
until
I
then
only
to
use
make
the
up
cup
for it.
part.
So Josh being the sacrifice makes more sense. And that would be poetic and all, but not very realistic. It just makes more sense that they're going to pick the method that's easier on themselves. Relatively speaking, of course.
Killing a person ain't no big deal.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's like that. But anyway, I got a bit off track there. We've already got all the explanation we need for Alex's parents to treat him poorly and act like he doesn't exist. Piling, oh, and they also didn't like that he's gay, on top of that would just kind of overcomplicate things. One guy also pointed out that Smog is colorful, like a gay pride flag. It is unusually colorful for a Silent Hill monster, but that's pushing it. I think the developers just wanted it to stand out a bit in the fog in an interesting way. And think of a Silent Hill game where trying to show homosexuality.
Yes, this is going to be on my channel later.
The monsters would be predominantly phallic-shaped. Someone claims that the Schism's head looks like a penis. Whoever's penis you're basing that on should probably see a doctor. I mean, maybe
Undertale My Little Pony mod.
Like shaft,
I don't think I have.
Look like a pendulum,
maybe
and when
though,
a
I'm not
heavy
sure.
head is meant to hang down from a long neck. There's only so many ways the neck could look. I'm gonna call it coincidence. Besides, we've got sexy faceless nurses in this game, and we all know that's become Silent Hill code for this man likes titties. So I mean, if it makes you feel better to think that Alex is gay, go nuts, I guess. Just don't try to argue that it's canon.
Number 3.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of how much that enemy looks like the lying figure from Silent Hill 2.
Pyramid Head isn't raping those monsters. That's just made up by perverted Americans.
Have you gone nuts?
Perverted
To be
Americans.
fair, the perverted Americans bit was said by one person in one instance, but I just thought it was too funny to leave out. I mean, I'm not going to get into a debate with anyone about which culture is more perverted, because whoever wins, we lose. But let's not pretend that the Japanese are pure as the driven snow either, okay? But honestly, while the majority of the fandom accepts, and even
I disagree,
sometimes
Rarity is best pony.
disturbingly embraces what's going on in these two scenes as rape, there's a small group of fans who pop up once in a while and just flat out deny it. This isn't really a theory so much as an argument I've seen people make. But for the record, I can understand not picking up on it at first, because I didn't. I mean, it is kind of vague looking, like you can see a lack of penetration here, and in the second scene, Pyramid Head's helmet is in the way, and it's hard to tell what's going on. But anyway, when I first played the game, my mind just didn't go there. It wasn't until I read about it and went back and looked again and went, oh wow, that is what's happening. That's fucked up. I will also admit that I couldn't find any confirmation that this was definitely what the developer...
A little off topic, but apparently I read this somewhere, and I haven't seen this movie, but I've heard that, like, James locking himself in the closet to watch what Pyramid Head is doing. That's kind of like, I think that's a reference to Blue Velvet. I think I've read that somewhere. I haven't seen Blue Velvet, though, so I can't confirm. Yeah, some Silent Hill fans are good at that, unfortunately. Yeah, at least, did I read your last comment? Oh, about Origins, and yeah, at least Homecoming at least did something a little bit original with their ripoff of the lying figure. Applejack is a good character. Again, considering they die at the end, I'm guessing that it's a violent act and not consensual. I think I said that earlier in the chat. I don't remember when. Yeah, it's weird even if you can't tell what's going on. Like, I'm not sure, but I think I remember hearing it was Blue Velvet. Again, I haven't seen it, so... Oh, okay. Yeah. I guess I should really watch Blue Velvet so I can get the references. Thanks, Jay. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Shao Kahn in the second Mortal Kombat movie was an attempt to show he didn't want to kill Raiden. I don't get the impression that he doesn't want to kill Raiden. It's been a while since I've seen it, though. Developers were going for, as in no interviews with them where that specific thing comes up. But Translated Memories does basically admit it. Mannequins are described as, quote, a manifestation of James's natural urges and inclinations. Accordingly, it's abused by Pyramid Head. Now, they don't literally say rape there, but that's basically saying sexual abuse. Sexual urges and mentioning abuse because of that. I think they are saying that, but they're just being very delicate about the wording. I mean, let's look at the evidence. Pyramid Head symbolizes James's guilt. One thing James feels guilty about is the sexual frustration he felt while his wife was sick, and how he probably had very unclean thoughts about other women. One of those things symbolizing those other women are mannequins. Thank you. So that explains this scene. And I know it's vague looking, but I think they either did it that way because they wanted to not be too obvious about it, or maybe it was the only way to get it past the censors. I mean, their crotches line up and the mannequin is gyrating. Clearly this is meant to be sexual, at least in a symbolic way. In the case of lying figures, they represent sickness and therefore could be symbolizing marriage. I think next time I do a stream, I'm going to see if I can block the word circumcision. I'm getting a little tired of the circumcision jokes at this point. Again, this scene makes sense. Maybe this is meant to show that James thought about better times with his wife and simultaneously felt bad about thinking of her in that way while she was suffering. I know it's hard to see what's happening with the helmet being in the way. I thought it was pretty obvious that he was forcing this lying figure to go down on him. But looking again, I'm not sure it's really that obvious, since we can't see where the lying figure's head is. Either way, Pyramid Head is clearly grinding against it, and a pretty orgasmic moan is heard. So, again, there's definitely something sexual going on.
Looks like somebody has specific taste in entertainment.
Besides... Thank you, Cassidy, and sorry if I called you by the wrong name there.
It's not like
I could have known, but still. I wouldn't do that intentionally for the record.
Nurses, both times Pyramid Head kills Maria on screen, he impales her with a spear, so that could be symbolic of penetration. And hell, have you seen Fukuro? Don't even tell me this isn't meant to be sexual. Then again, I guess it could all be in my head. Me being a perverted American and all.
Perverted American.
That's never gonna get old. In the end, though, I think the main reason this tickles me is the idea that someone would want to defend the virtue of this guy. How dare you accuse this man of sexual misconduct, good sir? He is indeed an upstanding citizen.
Number 2.
Laura isn't real. She's Mary's other alter ego.
Huh? Are you blind or something?
Yeah, I know there were two
I'm
Silent
such
Hill
a
2
perv.
theories in a row. Sorry about that. I'm kind of putting these in the order of which ones bother me the most, and the
Pyramid Head
one
symbolically a
bothered me more than the
vegan?
Alex one, and trust me, this one had to be number 2. This one is a bit personal along the lines of, it's ass. Because this is one where people tried to correct me and were really obnoxious about it. When I first uploaded my Game Den episodes on Silent Hill 2 to Channel Awesome back in the day when it was thatguywiththeglasses.com, someone posted a comment screaming at me for not including this, and another person agreed with them. How could you not mention that Laura is the other half of Mary's personality and symbolizes her innocence?
Did you like how the thing paused while I paused? I don't know, I just thought that was funny.
And then they accused me of not knowing enough about Silent Hill and chastised me for not reading the Silent Hill wiki. Silly me, I had only been looking at a translation of the Book of Lost Memories, the official Bible of the first 3 Silent Hill games.
St. Cancer in Silent Hill 3 is Eddie.
By the way, just to double check, I looked over Laura's page on the Silent Hill wiki a little while ago, and that's not mentioned on there anywhere, not even as a theory. At least not now, maybe it was there at the time and got deleted at some point. That kind of thing can happen on the Silent Hill wiki. But seriously, my reaction to that was, what? I had never heard that before in my life, and the game literally disproves it.
I have not seen Corpse Bride, actually. It's one of those movies I always intended to see and never got around to it for some reason. I didn't even think of that as a triggered effect. I don't even remember what I was thinking of when I did that. The whole shaky thing.
At first I thought it was just those 2 people, but then years later someone
I think I was trying to go for, like, scariness or something. I don't know.
asked me if Laura was real. So I guess it is one of those theories that just kind of got around. I mean, all you have to do is watch the game's trailer in the beginning. Along with the clips of the cutscenes in the games, it shows a little more. We see Laura visiting Mary in the hospital, and we see Laura bumming a ride to Silent Hill from Eddie. We are literally shown that Laura's story about meeting Mary in the hospital is legit, and if you wondered how she got to Silent Hill, we're shown that too.
Also, Ito recently said in his Twitter that Laura is real. So, one of the creators has confirmed it. Stop arguing with me about whether or not Laura is real. I actually got a lot of people in the comment section doing that in this video in the beginning.
I could just stop there. I mean, the game practically spells it out. There you go. But let's play devil's advocate for a minute. Let's say the developers put those
More hammy than Guy was. That sounds funny. Maybe I'll have to hear that one clip or something.
scenes in to throw us off the scent or something. I don't know why they would, but whatever. The only reason I can think of is that it is kind of weird that Laura keeps getting ahead of James despite his obstacles. Even the hotel where James had to get there by boat. Like, how did Laura get there? I can think of a couple responses to that. One is just video game logic. I know we love to dig really deep into every aspect of a Silent Hill game, but it is still a game.
I don't get it either. Like, the game literally shows you how she got to Silent Hill and explains who she is. Like, there's no reason to think she's a ghost or anything. Mistranslation. Oh, you're funny, living corpse. Okay, I'm gonna have to look up that scene. I didn't really listen to the new voices in Silent Hill 2 because I didn't like them doing that in the first place.
At the end of the day, and real-world logic doesn't have to apply in every case. And if that explanation feels like a cop-out, 2 is James is seeing his own personal version of Silent Hill with dead bodies and monsters, and that's what we're seeing. But when James mentions the monsters to Laura, she doesn't know what he's talking about. This is because she doesn't see the monsters, meaning that she's seeing a different, non-corrupted version of Silent Hill. Maybe she doesn't experience any of the roadblocks that James does. Maybe to her there's a bridge leading to the hotel. We don't know, but ultimately it doesn't matter. It's just a detail. Also, if the developers wanted us to think that Maria and Laura are two sides of the same coin, why would they treat them so differently? Maria is completely mysterious and doesn't tell James anything other than her name.
I don't look like a...
This is the biggest one to me. Just the fact
He doesn't
that...
figure out what she really is until the third time she gets killed.
Like, Maria is really secretive, and so obviously she's not what she appears to be, but Laura just comes right out and tells James who she is. Not immediately, but she does tell him how she knows
Laura
Mary
doesn't
and all
tell
that.
James everything right away.
You didn't love Mary anyway.
But she does reveal that she knew Mary, and even tells him where they met.
I was friends with Mary. We met at the hospital. It was last year.
And relays a lot of what Mary said to her.
Me and Mary talked a lot about Silent Hill. She even showed me all her pictures. She really wanted to come back. That's why I'm here.
And she mentions how old she is.
I turned 8 last week.
And again, we know how she got to Silent Hill. And speaking of the two characters being handled differently, have you ever noticed that it's kind of hinted at that only James can see Maria?
I honestly never thought about this part until I went to make this video, and I'm like, you know, no one else sees Maria.
It took me a while to pick up on this, but notice that Maria tends to make herself scarce right before James runs into someone. In the hospital, she gets sick and has to lay down while James goes on without her for a while. And this happens shortly before James interacts with Laura. In that bit where James is about to go into a bowling alley and this exchange happens...
I'll wait here. I hate bowling.
I didn't come here to play, you know.
Hurry back.
It's not just Maria being comically assholish, though it is funny in one of my favorite lines from the game. If she goes into the bowling alley and Eddie can see that James has an invisible friend, that's going to break the illusion for James. And after that...
Did a little girl run out of here?
Yeah, she was too fast for me.
Isn't it interesting that Maria has to run after Laura and she ends
really.
up getting away? Presumably Maria called out to her, but Laura just kept running.
I remember someone posted in the comments section like, why would Laura stop running just because someone who vaguely looks like Maria vaguely looks like Mary? I'm like, her own fucking husband confused her. Are you gonna say that Maria and Mary vaguely look and sound alike? They also have the same voice actor.
Isn't that kind of an odd thing for Laura to do?
I swear to God, they really grasp at straws to argue with me sometimes. It's really weird.
To Silent Hill to find Mary, and then someone who looks and sounds just like Mary calls out to her and Laura runs away from her.
That's an interesting theory that Eddie would see the Mary monster.
That Maria doesn't exist for Laura. However, in contrast, Laura is seen and heard conversing with Eddie in the bowling alley.
You're just a gutless fatso.
So yeah, Laura is a normal person. She was not created by the town.
Number 1.
So here you go. If you did not already know about this one, you're gonna love it. So this one is kind of an odd duck, since I'm mostly covering fan theories that are at least somewhat popular, and this one was said by one person, and pretty much nobody
here we
agreed
go.
with it,
Have
but
your
it's always
fun.
never a doozy.
I'm probably gonna
So
block
even though
the
it
word
kinda doesn't go
circumcision
with the
after this
others,
stream,
there's
so
just no way I could leave
get it all out of
the
your
Great
systems.
Circumcision War of 2015. So basically, in December of 2015, a mod over on the Silent Hill
This one's
Wiki
fun, though.
decided that Walter Sullivan had been circumcised, and so he edited the Walter Sullivan page so that it now had walls of text expressing anti-circumcision propaganda, with proof such as bloody forceps on a stretcher, phallic symbolism, syringes and pills,
Phallic symbolism, there's a thing you've never seen in a Silent Hill game, right?
a restrained figure, and this is apparently a really big torso-shaped foreskin.
Whatever.
As I'm sure you can tell by my
Whatever.
tone, I don't buy
I
any
love
of
Murphy.
this. Forceps, stretchers, and syringes
Murphy has some of the best
are in nearly
one-liners.
all of the Silent Hill games because these are things you find in a fucking hospital.
Mhm.
And while the white stools do look kind of
Hi-yo,
phallic,
Junix.
it's toadstools being shown here, but either way, I think they really are just meant to be fungus to show how damp and gross the water prison was. And if they symbolize anything else, it's probably umbilical cords with a fetus attached. As for the greedy worm symbolizing a monstrous penis, do I really need to explain that it's meant to symbolize an umbilical cord? I mean, it's right there in the name. An umbilical cord is basically a feeding tube, hence greedy, as in wanting food. And literally anything he points out about Walter Sullivan's behavior that is supposed to be attributed to the trauma of having been circumcised could just as easily
Wake up,
be attributed
sheeple.
to the trauma of abandonment and abuse in general. So, to call any of this proof of circumcision symbolism is really a stretch. Also, circumcision isn't really a thing in Japan, where...
Favorite Silent Hill creature? That's a tough one. I really like the double heads in Silent Hill 4. Those are creepy as hell. It might not be my favorite, but for some reason that one pops in my head. That might be an interesting top 10 list to do sometime, actually.
Silent Hill 4 was made, so I'm not saying they couldn't have an opinion on it, but it's not part of their culture and therefore not something that they really have to deal with on a personal level. So I don't see them making a huge statement about it like he's claiming.
Silent Hill is all about exposing the atrocities of America. Oh, that's so funny. Clearly that's what those developers in Japan had in mind.
So, Walter Sullivan was abandoned in his parents' apartment, so who was supposed to have told the hospital to...
Most hated character. I'll have to think. I can't think of any Silent Hill characters that really got on my nerve. Well, maybe Lisa in Origins. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. Chodger on a human face. Oh yeah, I referenced those in this video. His other anime wiki edits. Oh god. Most perverted Americans.
Like, did Frank Sunderland just randomly hand them $200 and ask them to circumcise a kid that wasn't his and that he'd never see again? Would the hospital even allow that from someone who wasn't a parent? Maybe the umbilical cord wasn't the only thing he kept. And like I said when I talked about the theory of Alex
I laughed
Shepard
at my own
being
joke
gay,
again.
piling on that extra layer of, oh, and also he was circumcised, would just complicate things and take away from the main point. Anytime someone called him out on any of this...
You're a fucking horrible human being for advocating genital mutilation, and 99% of Americans who advocate mutilating penises are fucking brainwashed morons. God damn, this guy. Yeah, like, I highly recommend pausing and reading this shit. It's so funny. He goes on such a fucking tirade. Like, I'm kind of against circumcision myself, to be honest. I didn't bring it up in this video because I didn't think it was relevant, but, like, Jesus Christ. Like, this is not the place for it.
Horrible for advocating circumcision, even though all any of them said is that it doesn't belong on a Silent Hill 4 wiki. Also, that they were a bunch of brainwashed...
I tried playing the first Siren game. I really couldn't get into it. It was just a little too... I didn't like that whole aspect of just, like, trying to avoid the guy. It's a little too hard.
That needed to wake up. And anytime someone else would try to edit the page, he'd change it back and block them. Oh, did I only mention that he was a mod? He was also an administrator, so he had the ability to block anyone from editing the page, even the other mods. And he
I think that's what most people
who
have...
I have no idea what was going through this guy.
I think that's what most people who have had circumcision say. They don't remember it and it's no big deal. But... I just have an issue with doing unnecessary surgery on someone who can't consent to it.
Really passionate about circumcision to the point of it being an unhealthy obsession. Like, did he really think that this was gonna fly with people? Because the best way to get people to agree
That's
with
interesting
your
about
opinion is to
umbilical
scream it
cords.
as
I
loud
didn't
as
know
you
that,
can
or
in
maybe
as many
maybe I've
places
heard
as
that before. That
possible.
sounds vaguely
I wonder
familiar.
if he even believes that Silent Hill 4 has anything to do with circumcision, or if he just made up.
Yeah, I'm sure I do say circumcision a lot in this
to
video.
Just have a place to spew all of his propaganda. I mean, I'm against declawing cats, but you don't see me editing the wiki to say that the cat in Henry's fridge.
Yeah, video game wiki is not the place to do
when
it.
He was little and his parents got declawed, and the mournful meowing the cat made symbolizes its pain at having to dig in the litter box afterwards because of the evils
Yeah, I
of
feel the same
humanity.
way about ear piercing.
This is something that the Japanese totally care about, and if you disagree with that theory, you hate animals, blah blah blah, wake up you sheep. But yeah, I normally try to avoid internet drama, but this was a train wreck that I could not look away from. The guy eventually expanded his ranting about circumcision to the Illuminati being behind it for some reason, and Christianity is secretly about Satan worshipping. Like, the rabbit hole just kept getting deeper and deeper. I'm not going to go into too much more detail because it got all over the internet and it's really easy to find info on it. I'll link to a site that basically told...
Do I think he's a flat earther? It's possible. I wouldn't put it past him.
The whole story through a series of tweets someone made, which is loaded with screenshots, some of which I used here. But my favorite part was when someone shared this with Jeremy Blaustein, who is the translator and localization coordinator of Silent Hill 2 through 4, and he responded, "What the fuck?"
Fuck no, I like that.
And then later added, "I can only conclude that he thought an umbilicus meant a foreskin." By the way, it wasn't just Silent Hill 4. He also added circumcision
turning
to
snow
Alex
into
Shepard's
ash.
origin. Because of course his parents are going to blow $200 on unnecessary surgery for a kid they plan on sacrificing later. And it wasn't just Silent Hill in general either. Apparently Xenosaga is also all about
There we go.
circumcision. So what ended up happening was that because he
Oh yeah, I guess
was
I
an
only
administrator,
mentioned
they had to hold a
Xenosaga. There were
poll
others too,
asking
though,
for
I think.
everyone with an account to weigh in on whether they
No
were in
jokes,
favor
only
of
sadness
or
and
opposed
pity.
to having him remain an administrator. So I made an account just to post my 2 cents. The first and so far the only time I ever posted to that community. He did end up getting blocked, but apparently he was allowed back in with only mod status about 3 months later. Take that info how you want. Well, there you go. 5 fan
I can't believe they
theories
let
fully
that guy back
debunked,
after that.
whether
That's
they
just
needed to
fucking
be or
terrible.
not. And if you're one of the people who believed one of the above theories or even posted it, I hope you didn't take any of this personally. The main reason I didn't dig up screenshots of the specific comments, with the exception of number 1 of course, but that's a special case, is because the
Very
point
special.
is to not make this personal or call anyone out and just focus on the theories themselves. Yes, I am passionate about some of these, and I probably sound
Special
angry and
case.
frustrated, and clearly I had some fun with this, but again, it's nothing personal. If anything, it's a major berserk button for me when misinformation gets spread, and it tends to set me off. You can imagine how often I get angry on Tumblr. But it's the action that bothers me. 9 times out of 10,
Never heard
I
of
didn't
Gravity
even
Rush, I
remember
don't
who
think.
said it, only that it was said. So this was my first Silent Hill video that was not a retrospective of a
The
specific
circumcision
game.
monster.
Well, other than that end of an era video I did, but that was an intro to the post-Team Silent games. I have other list videos in mind, along with some editorial type videos. But if there's anything in particular about the Silent Hill series you'd like me to talk about, let me know in the comments. That's it for now. See you next time.
Yeah, it was fun. Damn, going on 3 hours and 45 minutes. Holy crap. Finally, one where I don't have to mute the credits. Gaz is the evil demon of Silent Hill. Thanks for stopping by, Nictana. Pet Cemetery review. Oh, of the new movie? I don't even really want to see it, to be honest. Oh yeah, I had a little update about that Alex Shepard guy at the end. Meh. Not interested in the Pet Cemetery remake. Oh, that's right, you're usually busy on Friday nights, aren't you? Or was it Saturday? I forget. I know one of those days you're busy.
As I was editing this video, I noticed he's been blocked again. Maybe by the time you see this, he'll go back to being unblocked.
And he did.
Who knows? Must be on drugs.
Must be on drugs. I forgot about that. Oh yeah, even the title card I did for this one is kind of made to look all clickbaity. I don't know if anyone picked up on that. I didn't make it super obvious. I could have put like arrows and circles and shit, but I decided to just kind of. Yeah, this whole video was just meant to be fun and snarky and just kind of a way to get back at all those people that gave me shit about stuff they thought I was wrong about when they were the ones who were wrong. So this whole video was just really smart ass and fun to make. Oh, okay, so you're busy Friday and Saturday. I think that's a recent change. Oh, react to my Pet Cemetery review. That would actually be kind of fun. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do this again sometime, and maybe I'll do that one. Yeah, I know. I hate the arrows and circle shit. Yeah, me too. That's why I would have done it like as a joke. Oh, that's why someone recommended Gravity Rush. It was made by one of the makers of Silent Hill. Thumbnail. God damn it. Thumbnail is a close-up of a thumb. That's cool. I'm glad you guys had fun, and thanks for stopping by, and especially thanks to everyone who donated. I really, really appreciated it. I hate asking for money, but I figure if I do it during a video, I'm sort of earning it. Thoughts on Twilight being a scientist Earth pony in the planned reboot? I mean, I guess they're probably going to reboot all the characters and have them be completely different than they were in Friendship is Magic, so... I mean, whatever, I guess, but it's really hard imagining Twilight being an Earth pony. Oh, too bad you came in so late, but yeah, it was fun. God, it's been going on for like nearly 3 hours and 45 minutes. I definitely need to end this. So, yeah, the streams are fun. I really need to do more of them. I've been wanting to, so this was just sort of an extra excuse to do it. Yeah. Friendship is circumcised. God damn it. Checking out Death Stranding when it comes. It depends on what system it comes out for, because I can't really afford the newer systems right now, and I actually can't afford newer games in general. I shall block the C word. Oh god, we're still doing a 24-hour stream. Yeah, Lee and I talked about that earlier. I ended up just doing a 3-hour and 45-minute stream. But, yeah. I guess we're still doing that sometime. We talked about earlier about doing a 24-hour stream. I think I already said that. I'm getting tired and punchy. I'm not kidding you guys. I'm going to block circumcision. I think there's a way to block words in the chat. I hope there is. God, I hope there is. Okay. No, we aren't doing it tomorrow then. That's good. Yes, this stream is going to be made public. Hopefully, YouTube can handle a 4-hour video. I think it can. It'll probably just take a long time to process. Yeah, we do need to finish Final Fantasy VII. Actually, yeah, that would be a good thing for the 24-hour stream. We just finish the whole freaking game in one fell swoop. Block a word and change it to something else. That would be funny. Okay, well, I am severely running out of steam, so... Where is my stupid little OBS thingy? I'm doing okay. I'm obviously very low on money, hence part of the reason why I did the stream, but I'm doing okay otherwise. Superhero Girls by Lauren Faust. I have not watched that. Oh god, that would kill my voice doing Final Fantasy VII in a 24-hour stream. That might be a bad idea, actually. That's fine. Get the circumcision references out of your systems, everybody. Change circumcision to Abadox. That'd be a funny little random thing to do. Okay, I am ending this now. I'm always really bad at, let me just make sure I didn't get any more. Nope, okay. I'm always really bad at ending these, so, Oh, hi, Annie. I'm, like, gonna stop the stream in, like, 2 seconds. You missed me reacting to old videos, but it's gonna go public, sometime. Anyway, thank you for joining me, everybody. Thanks for stopping by, and it was a lot of fun, and especially thanks to everybody who donated, but even those who didn't, it was still fun, and thanks for joining me. So, yeah, that's it for now. See you next time.